As a reminder, please read my pinned message about being civil. That's important and key to this. And please follow all normal server rules, otherwise you guys will be muted.
Mike is not broke. What do you mean?
Yeah, Mike is fine, Shane.
Okay, I thought so.
Okay, I think we have 08F first.
Alright.
Alright, 08F, you're unmuted.
Yeah.
Hello? Oh, that's epic. Fuck yeah. Okay. So my question was, I do appreciate that the mods have taken time to redo the rules and put in an update. And I do appreciate that it looks like they did look at the suggestions that I submitted, because I see, some of that implemented in the new ones, and I like that a lot. I do appreciate that. That's a step in the right direction. And it really does show that you guys do listen to the community in this case, and I will recognize that. But I couldn't help but notice one thing, and one of the biggest things that I added to my suggestion list, which if the listeners aren't caught up, you can view that in the pins of Minecraft feedback. Something that was not included was a standard moderator punishment list to be used if a moderator makes a mistake or does even a malicious act. I spent a lot of time on that, and I ran it by a few mods. I think not one, not two, but three. I had individual conversations with about the punishment tiers of a moderator punishment system, where moderators would be held accountable for their actions and if they made a mistake. And I couldn't help but notice that that entire section was absent. In addition, with the section that I wrote about a formal procedure for requesting that a rule be changed, and just general other sections about staff accountability and giving a voice to the users. And that's kind of concerning, because I thought one of the main objectives here was to, one, I know a lot of people in the community, including myself, have wanted staff to be held accountable, and also to give users a voice. I know there are memes about that, but I think a lot of us do sincerely believe that users in the community deserve a voice. And even though you guys based a lot of this rewrite off of what I had given you, everything in relation to those two have been completely removed without a trace, and we can't see an explanation. But I was hoping to get that now. So just briefly, if you could describe, I'm going to boil it down to three questions. One, would you be open to a standard public moderator punishment system with set tiers and guidelines, even if you want to do a point system like you have for the users? Two, if not, why would you not be open to that? And three, can you just explain your reasoning for removing those from my suggestions? And I mean, obviously you didn't include it for some reason. What is that reason?
All right,
And yeah, I'm just gonna, if you could keep me unmuted, because I am anticipating that a few responses, and I wanted to be able to respond to that immediately and not have to wait in line and break continuity just for a little bit. So thank you.
All right, so obviously this is something that comes down to me. The reason why there's not a public tier list for moderators abusing their powers is because we've never had one of them. I don't have one of those across the board for Discord moderators. I don't have them for Reddit moderators. TGN mods do not have that either. and Minecraft moderators will not be separated because they are TGN moderators in the end. So I agree that moderators do need to be held accountable. That is a problem that I've had, and all right.
Well, I mean, that doesn't necessarily answer the
I'm
question.
not done.
Oh, sorry. I saw you pause, and my bad.
So the thing with punishments is that they happen behind the scene because there is something that I conduct, and they happen according to events. Moderator accountability is important and is something that I have been addressing behind the scenes that you guys haven't seen, and other moderators can attest to the fact that I have put a mod on probation already. Alex was initially supposed to take care of this, but she didn't. And so that is why I became pretty fairly active in the past 3 or 4 weeks. So with the new accountability stuff, sorry, the text chat. With the new accountability stuff, anything of moderators breaking rules is being immediately punished by myself. But the thing is, there are very different situations that have happened behind the scenes that you guys might not be aware of, plus things that have happened on the game that you guys are aware of, and they call for different punishments. I can't go by a tier system because I don't know what's going to work with a moderator. And at this point, I have even stated to moderators that if they continue to fuck up and make really stupid mistakes, they will be forced to resign as moderator. It's come down to that point. But I would not have been able to make that decision if I had to follow a certain tier list. And besides the fact, it's just not appropriate for disciplinary actions to be public to the main server when it's being handled by myself and can be pretty potentially humiliating for moderators.
Are you done? Just so I can.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got a few responses to that. One, I actually helped run a very large Minecraft server, 2 of them actually, not too long ago, and so I'm not just like talking out of my ass, and I'm not just making stuff up when I say that making moderator punishment public is one that should be expected. It should be expected, and keeping moderators to a standard tier list will help eliminate 1, bias. 2, it will also eliminate any potential for moderators not to properly govern themselves. And I'm not calling your moderation into question, and I'm not calling Alex's into question, or NSA's, or anything like that. But I'm just saying, in the past year, this server doesn't exactly have a good track record with holding mods accountable. I mean, not too long ago, because moderators do not correctly know how to use the Core Protect plugin, we've had entire bases, almost all of the Nether Hub, multiple times completely corrupted and destroyed by multiple different moderators. And as far as anyone in the public can see, nothing has been done about that from a training side, nor a disciplinary side. And that's another problem. You can say that you've punished them privately all you want, but from the perspective of a user, that doesn't really mean anything because we can't see it. Multiple moderators have also completely broken player economies. I regret naming Thexman specifically, and so I'm not going to name these 2. But multiple moderators have completely broken player economies and given users overpowered items and a monopoly on certain items to a point where it gave them an incredibly unfair PvP advantage and made them essentially invincible for a while where no one would challenge them. And not only does that demonstrate a lack of understanding on the side of how a player economy works, it demonstrates that nothing was ever done about that. By the way, those items are never revoked, and there was no accountability for the 2 moderators who were responsible for some of this stuff. And these are just a few examples that happened in the last, 2 weeks of moderators messing up and not being held accountable because there is no system in place. There needs to be an official standard tier list system that they can be held to. so that there is no question about whether they did something wrong. There's no question about whether they need to be punished. And I'm not saying that you're a bad moderator, but every person is subject to bias. And the less that you have in a moderation community is the better. You
I
can't
think
have a rule set. You can't have a rule set based on pure like subjective judgment. That never works. That was what the last one was, and I'm sure you've heard how bad that one was and how much people complained about it, rightfully so. And just in conclusion, I really don't think that just leaving it up to you or NSA or any moderator to discipline each other is a good solution. One, for the future, two, for now, and three, if you want to regain the trust of the community, since recently moderators have done very questionable things that have deserved punishment and nothing has happened.
Okay, you packed a lot into one thing. So,
Yeah, I don't know how many times I'm going to get to speak tonight, so I'm kind of doing my best to get everything that I want out there.
all right. So one thing that I want to say is I understand that you have experience moderating other communities, but I do too. I've been a moderator since I was 12. I am 19 now. That is 7 years of moderating. I moderated Minecraft communities. I've moderated 2 of them. I was very involved for a number of years, and then I came over to teenagers. I've been a Reddit mod, been a Discord mod, and now I'm on TGN. So I'm fairly familiar with how this process works. With that being said, I do have to say that teenagers is not the same as other communities. So what has worked for other communities may not work for teenagers. There's something you have to keep in mind. Second of all, I'm not sure what you're referring to by the duping thing. If you could explain.
The player economy thing I was referring to.
Yeah.
I hate to name moderators in a public
I can't do
very
anything
setting
if I
like
don't
this, but
know the
would you like me
moderators.
to?
Yes, please, so that I can
All
do
right,
something.
sure. Mario Foley as a moderator gave 20 notch apples or enchanted god apples to one player. Politic for what was essentially a mini event he held on his own. And I don't think he fully understood the implications of that, because if you've played like Minecraft PvP competitively, those apples basically make you invincible. I shouldn't say invincible, but nearly unkillable. And in the month, I don't want to say month, but in the few weeks after that, no one would even like bother to PvP or challenge him, because they knew that at all times he would be holding those items. And on the server, he was basically invincible. And then the other moderator, who I guess I should call this out by name, Jayla, one time organized a drop party at which she completely broke the rare trading economy. I hate to talk about this so seriously because it's Minecraft items, but you know that's what they're called. And yeah, I realize the irony of this, talking about player economies in Minecraft. But the whole idea was that this drop party basically completely destroyed collections and a lot of work that users have been putting into the server to acquire these rare items. And for some of them, it was incredibly disheartening to see that they had worked for hours and days on end in playtime to achieve enough to get these items and then have them just handed out like candy in a drop party to random people. And then also the warnings of how this could possibly impact the player economy, and even how they should distribute the items in a more fair way were intentionally ignored in player chat, as moderators refused to reply to anything that was occurring in chat. And when they did, it was kind of a catch-22 fake answer where they didn't agree to anything. Multiple players have quit over this. See Char312. He was a very active player, and he had more playtime than even me, and was very involved. But he quit after all of his work that he had put in acquiring these items were just deleted overnight because one moderator did not properly understand the economy and how much players work towards that. Just for the examples you wanted, that's about it from what I think you were referring to.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have another mod talk to you about that and explain their side of the story. But before I let them do that, um, the one thing that I wanted to loop back around to is one of your main points in your initial comments before I asked you to explain that. Um, fuck. So you mentioned something about mod bias, about how player if mods aren't punished appropriately, they'll be biased.
Well, just to clarify, my point was that if you let mods punish each other, I mean, mod teams are friends with each other. Like that's not a problem. That's how it should be. Like, you work with people, you're in a community with someone, you're friends, and you don't want to punish your friends. You don't want to take away their rank. So with that comes an inherent bias where, maybe I won't ban them, maybe I won't take away their rank, because I'm friends with them. And that, like, I'm not saying mods shouldn't be friends, but I'm saying that they shouldn't be judging each other. And in my experience, that has never been a good thing when you let mods judge each other, especially if they're teenagers. That you
Okay.
can never get a consistent, objective result out of that.
All right. So I hear what you're saying. I want to say that I'm not taking this as an attack on my moderation. By the way, you don't have to keep saying that. I personally am pretty unbiased. I don't really care if somebody's my friend. I don't really care if they're a stranger. I don't really care if they're an acquaintance. This is why I've gotten a fair amount of hate on another server because I did ban a few people. I personally have no problem, and I'm the one who deals with this. I have no problems forcing moderators to resign or punishing them. So right there, I don't really see the problem with that because I'm not biased. I'm not biased towards this community. I'm not going to leave a mod on because they're friends. If they fucked up, then they fucked up, and they need to be removed.
But it's not just. Oh, sorry, you go.
And you can go on. What are you gonna say?
Well, it's not just you. I mean, you may. I don't doubt this. That you're a very good moderator, but other people aren't. Other mods are not this good. Certainly, most of them aren't. And community leaders of the community come and go. We've had NSA, Alex, EduKid, and then you all swapping out. And we need to have a rule set that stays consistent. We can't guarantee that every team lead is going to be good. And I don't want to insult you, but multiple other players have pointed out that you may not be the best. I'm not going to comment on that. But I don't think it's fair to say that every other team lead and every team lead is going to be as fair and objective as you may be. I don't think that's reasonable.
So NSA and myself have only been the owners of TGN. Alex and EduKid have never handled moderator punishment. They do not handle that. That goes to me. They contact me, and then I deal with it so that I can make the appropriate decision to help prevent some of that.
Didn't Alex have the literal TGN team lead role?
Yes, but I'm still an owner, and she still would have came to me with those types of problems so that I could handle it.
Okay, so wait. Okay, that I actually didn't know that. So Alex was never actually community lead.
No, it's only been me. I've been the owner of TGN ever since NSA handed it over to me.
That I mean, I don't really know what to say to that because multiple other moderators have pointed me and said go to Alex before because she was the team. I think the reason that people don't really recognize you here is that no mod has ever said go to Caro or Caro. I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm sorry. No mod has ever said that. Mods have said go to NSA or go to Alex before. That's why everyone knows her name.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Just give me 1 second, and then I'll leave it to you. If you read information, it does tell you to go to. It needs to be updated. I know that much. It does tell you to go to Alex first to let her know to handle those specific complaints, but then they go to me. If you were unable to reach a consensus with Alex, you were supposed to go to me. If something significant happened, then Alex went to me. If something needed to be changed, Alex went to me. So I am pretty involved with the community behind the scenes. I know a lot of what's going on, and I'm pretty involved with the moderators, and they can confirm that. I just don't chat in general very much or chat on the Minecraft server, even though I have played in the past, just because I have a lot of other things to do, and I can trust sometimes for the most part, but recently it's been getting better, just the moderators to come to me with the problems that they have and to deal with the Minecraft server. This can be found in information, as I stated before, which I don't think most people have read. And these are community-wide rules that are applicable to the Discord server and applicable to each and every single game. This is getting really kind of off topic from the new rules. So I'm gonna just kind of loop it back towards the rules, and then whoever wanted to speak can go speak now.
Yeah, Caro basically said what I was going to say, which is that the TGN team lead is the one that watches or oversees the TGN mods. So if there's a problem, we directly go to her, and if it's something that Alex can't answer or Alex like is unsure of, then we refer to Caro for that.
All right, I've just got one more question because I don't know how many times we need to ask. This one's very short. The X-Man, Mario Foley, and Jayla, just as an example, in the last week, have demonstrated that they do not understand the plugin Core Protect, which is a very used administration plugin to roll back grease and other things. And I know that firsthand because they fucked up my base and made it completely unusable. I think the last time it was fucked up, it still isn't fully repaired because when they do it, it's pretty bad. And I'm sure that multiple other users of the community can attest to the fact that mods don't exactly have the most experience with the plugins they use, Core Protect in particular.
Okay.
So, is there anything in place to, one, train mods, and two, have you seen how the mods have messed up lately and put anything new in place to prevent that?
Okay. First of all, I know you brought this up before, but I'm not going to punish moderators for making a mistake on a plugin. Mistakes happen, and I'm not gonna just punish them for it. I would agree that more training is required, and I've only just learned from the senior moderators that NSA never trained them, which means they never trained Alex, which means Alex never trained the new mods. And that should have been a thing. I was unaware of that. NSA did not tell me that. NSA didn't even grant me access to moderator chats until he handed me over the server. So I expected the senior mods to at least know how to use Core Protect. The specific instances that you were talking about, I would like those moderators to respond with their side of the story, because I've heard back and forth on that, and neither one of the stories are lining up. But
I would love to hear the back and forth on that too.
On that topic, yes, they need more training in Core Protect, but I'm not going to be punishing them or demodding them because they didn't receive the adequate training that they need. And we already have plans on getting the moderators trained for that. We have plans in place. So the moderators that were involved in rolling back his base, could you please explain that side of the story?
I can jump in right here. So I can confirm that we actually never were trained on Core Protect. I can only say this for me, Overfast, Muzak, but we were never trained by NSA, Alex, Kuva, anyone who had been on the moderation team previous to us. We had to kind of figure it out as we went. And I'm gonna attach a screenshot in Townhall right now. So, and even NSA didn't know, said that the command that I ran, that kind of messed up the Nether Hub, shouldn't have ran. The screenshot's right there. He said it shouldn't have executed. So that shows that like even like NSA who'd been using the plugin for a very long time.
Yeah, so that's another point of why does not a single moderator understand it? I mean, like, this wasn't a hard error. All you did, you forgot to specify a radius. That's like square one. This isn't like advanced training. Like, forgetting a radius tag is like that's what it was. If you want the proof in that, you can scroll up in Minecraft feedback, because I had to prove that
Hang on.
because Muzak wouldn't accept it.
So
just gonna remind you to please just be civil. We don't need any aggression. This is just one-on-one. Just be chill. You don't need
So
aggression.
So
there was
I
actually
mean,
there was
I've
actually a
talked in
reason.
circles about this with the same mod so many times now.
I
So I'm
understand that,
sorry.
but I don't
So-
want to hear the aggression. It's just not
Alright,
the time and place for it.
Let me finish this up real quick. So there's actually a reason I didn't specify radius, and that's because this the player that I was rolling back completely for their entire time because they had just logged in that day and were hacking and griefing all around the server. And so I was rolling back their entire thing, and I didn't want to miss anything. So that was why I didn't set a radius. And I thought that the hashtag global modifier rolled it back for completely as if you try and set a radius more than 500 blocks, which is the maximum for that, it'll tell you to just use hashtag global and doesn't specify anything else. And so I understand that I messed up and that I tried to fix it. Thanks, Muzak helped out a lot with that. But I everything I had seen and noted previously had led me to believe that that was the way to do it. And there was a reason that I didn't specify a radius. There was a reason I didn't specify a time for that. Well, I did specify a time, but it was way in the past. It wasn't anything recent. It was to make sure that I didn't miss anything when rolling this guy back.
So I
hope-
understand that, but just to be clear about core protect usage, the documentation is very clear that putting an unlabeled
I am a-
hashtag automatically treats it as a user because the hierarchy is user, radius, and then action. So even if you had put a radius there, it wouldn't have achieved your effect.
Yeah, it's
Just to be clear on that, yeah.
the way it's set up doesn't actually it acts as an override. It'll ignore any previous or arguments, any modifiers that are listed before or after. So it works as an override, and that's kind of, I think, dumb because if you specify arguments, they shouldn't be ignored. But that's not the point.
All right, so thank you. I'm going to step off because I've been talking for way too long, and other people want to.
Just
Alright.
a reminder, guys, that if you have anything that's outside of the rules, if we have time to get to it, we'll get to it at the end, just so that you know, because it's already been a half an hour past, and we don't have 4 hours, 5 hours to go through all of this. So let's keep it to new rules, and then if we have time, we'll go through the other questions.
Can I quote Lorian's question because he doesn't have a mic? Alright, so he asks, creating unnecessary disturbance, and he basically quotes 2F and luring mobs and placing blocks, removing blocks, and using chorus fruit, making redstone contraptions, bed that rule. He says these rules are too vague in their language and need to be made more specific, or in case of formal removal entirely. The vague rules are bad for the server, and while they may be easy to moderate to punish users who think they are acting in an unbecoming manner. Imagine how it would look to a new player. You see this rule, you can't make a disturbance. You know that you're not allowed, or you're allowed, or you're not allowed to. You have to overthink the scenario and wonder if you'll be banned for making a disturbance.
Can somebody paste a link to that message in Townhall?
Oh, he DM'd me. I guess I Yeah, he has it.
Alright, so that rule, 2F, that has always been in the community-wide rules. And that rule can only be executed by me or by another mod who has explicit permission from myself. It is rarely used and is only used if a user continues to skirt rules when they blatantly are breaking rules, but we technically want to abide by the rules and can't punish them. So if a user is constantly, I barely have any examples because of how rarely we've ever used this. I think I've only used this in the past alongside NSA maybe 2 or 3 times. So essentially, 2F is just there for accountability reasons so that I can pull it if it's ever needed and we don't have a specific thing outlined in a rule that is blatantly against the rules or somebody is trying to get around breaking rules. That's the only reason why it was used. And then Ahmad can respond to the part B of his question. Yeah, the rule is subjective. The rule is vague on purpose so that it can be used if it's ever needed to be used. Disrupting normal no. I wouldn't use it whenever I wanted to, and that's not what the rule is supposed to be, and it's not even outlined by that sentence. No, again, it's not used to ban people who I don't like. It's in specific instances where disrupting the normalcy of the server is happening. So basically, if you go onto other servers, especially other Discord servers, they will have a clause in their rules. Let me find one because I know I've recently read one. I think Discord is going down because I can't load channels on my Discord. So if I pop out, it's not because I left, it's because my Discord is going down. Also, can you guys please stop ping spamming me? Anyways, most Discord servers have a clause in their rules that does say that if you are a user that is disrupting the normalcy of a server or causing a disruption or generally just annoying general users and skirting rules, moderators have the right to ban that user. They have the right to enforce those rules. This is no different from those types of clauses. It's rarely used, it can only be executed by me, and it's not just to be banning people that I don't like. It's literally only for rare extreme circumstances where I have to pull that clause. I don't like using it, so you won't see it used a lot. All right.
Are we ready to move on to the next person?
There's in Lurian's question, there is a part 2 of it about uh the Lurin mob placing blocks.
Okay, on the second point that Larian's making about the luring mobs and placing blocks, it's kind of the same situation where we make it vague intentionally because if we make it too specific, it causes users to like find loopholes in the rules, which we've had problems with before. And when users usually find loopholes, it ends up being a more like chaotic time for everybody. I don't know what specifically you're referring to that's vague in those points besides the thing overall, but generally if we make rules, it's not for every rule, but for some specific rules, if we make it too specific, then users will generally try to find loopholes and abuse that.
Back to 2F rule. All right. 2F is under information on both the main Discord and on TGN, and it's under 2, under C, and it says, creating an unnecessary disturbance that disrupts the normalcy of the server with harmful effects is forbidden. That just means if a user is constantly creating a disruption that is harmful to the server, they can be banned. It doesn't mean that they will be banned, especially if they are breaking rules that they can be banned under. It's just for users that are constantly skirting rules and are not receiving punishments because technically it's not against rules, even though you can tell they are testing the waters. Again, it's very rarely used and it can only be executed by me. The reason why it's not spamming or hate speech is because we already have those rules outlining that. It's for things that don't fall underneath that I cannot technically punish for, but is still disrupting the server with a harmful effect. Community-wide rules will always stay. This is mainly for Minecraft rules, and community-wide rules do apply to the Minecraft rules. So honestly, it's best if we move on to something that you guys can change that has to do with Minecraft.
All right, because we're I don't want to, because we want to make sure that everybody can talk. I suggest that we go on to the next person, so that way everybody can have a chance to give in their input. So next person would be, I think it's Will. Yeah. All right,
Hello.
Will. you're
Hello.
muted.
Oh yes, thank you. So first off, I just want to say that Oof, he was talking about how the mods, he doesn't want mods deciding if a mod should be whatever the punishments for it to be. And we've seen in the past how this obviously can't work, specifically with InShane when plenty of people, I personally was his friend, for example. A lot of people were his friends, and they just, they didn't think he would ever do something like that. You have to understand that no one thought anyone who knew Shane never thought he would do anything like that. It's just not something he would do. And that's why just, another reason mods are just biased. Some context to InShane, he was a longtime player, got mod, he abused a bunch of his abilities in order to spawn in-game items. And the only time we ended up actually getting the mods to look at his duped items was when 08F took his time to find the Enchant's dupe stash, TP'd, like I think he was overfast, got overfast to TP there, showed him it. That's when we actually got that dealt with. And that's another reason I just don't think mods being able to accurately control or whatever punish each other would work. And then second thing, 2F has been used in the past on the TGN server before OGW or whatever, and it just has not. It clearly was used as in bias and hasn't worked well. It was used on Theo Gilly by Connor 7000 when he basically said, "Oh, you are killing lots of players. We think you are raising the. I think you're." It was basically Connor saying, "I think you were raising the server, and therefore I'm going to ban you." When he wasn't breaking any rules. He clearly wasn't trying to kill the server because Theo enjoys the server. He's an active player who tries to contribute. That's why he donates. That's why he does whatever. And it's obvious that's only been in the past. We've only seen it used in bias. I don't understand why we need it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
I just want to clear this up. I'm 99% sure that Connor used that he killed the
He said-
donkey as the actual ban message. I don't know if that's not like what he said in the time from that, but I'm 99% sure that was what the ban message
I
was.
specifically remember the ban message. He said something along the lines of, "You are trying to raise the server. We are not going to let you do that." Not really anything about the donkey. You can ask other people about that or whatever.
Yeah, I
I'm
remember.
supposed to be muted right now, I'm pretty
Jay
sure.
remembers
But
it.
just to be sure, it was both of them. He cited 1, raising the server, and 2, killing the donkey. It was
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, to address that, that's another issue that kind of goes back to leadership, where, as Caro stated earlier, there's been issues with that where things weren't administered properly with training and with like showing moderators the right thing to do. And that was another thing in the chain of events that led up to Connor retiring. That was something that should have never happened, and something that hopefully will not ever happen again if we address those issues properly and see that we had issues with leadership in the past that we are going to address and that will make the server better, if that makes sense.
Can I relay another message from a person who can't?
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna.
Oh no, finish your thing.
Yeah.
So once again, on to Enchanted. Didn't really get this answered. I still think again that it doesn't. Bonds clearly can't do that with each other. I think it was Muzak said it himself that they were good friends with each other. They couldn't, it just won't work out like that.
As for the insane situation, none of the mod prior to Connor and I finding out that he duplicated the items knew about what he was doing or about how many items and all that he's distributed. And it wasn't until that we found those duplicated items that we addressed him and punished him accordingly for it. Or more specifically, NSA did.
Yes, but it was quite obvious. Everyone who was on around that time found it quite obvious that he was stupid. He was whatever. People were saying he's doing these things in chat, and they get ignored. He, took stuff out of my chest, did whatever. No, if I'm not going to mention burning all those things, that's irrelevant into this conversation. I just don't. I just don't understand that. And then for 2F, Rule 2F, I haven't seen it used effectively. I haven't seen it used unbiasedly, in my opinion. I just don't see how it's going to ever be truly used unbiased. And that's why I just don't think it's a good rule. Yeah.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. So as for Enchain, with obviously the players warning us about him, it was we were ignoring people. We kept that in mind before we found out, and I'm pretty sure I can't like specifically tell you that that's what led to finding out that he was uh properly abusing his moderator privileges, but since I'm not the one who found it, but I'm pretty sure that those warnings actually helped Connor find out that he was abusing his privileges. But that was never stated publicly.
Okay. Just one more thing. I'm just felt like Oof kind of had me here, had to make me say it. Weighted blankets are made for autistic children. That's why I'm laying under one right now.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna move on to the next person now. Okay, next person is age 27 lethal. Okay, he doesn't have a mic. Give us just a second.
Hello, test. Does that work?
Good.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, sorry. All right. So as first point, first off, the rule about annexation is somewhat unclear. It only states that if you wish to annex a town, you must gain the owner's permission to evict every single resident of the town. So pretty much for this point, it just really means that, like, because now you own the town, you have to evict every single resident. So you're pretty much just giving them a week's warning to get their stuff. And then if they don't get it within the time, it becomes yours. That's pretty much all that rule comes down to.
Is that the whole paragraph or is there more?
Oh, sorry, there's more. The second point is the rule about lag. It only states that causing lag intentionally is illegal and mods may alter your farm. If so, then a player may build anything they want as long as its sole purpose isn't to cause lag, although it's highly likely that the whole thing will be destroyed by a mod due to lag.
I think that that part's being taken out of context because all of the situations that are punishable by moderators usually that don't fall under that rule are relayed from the other rules that we stated. So I don't think that you can build anything with the sole purpose to not cause lag, because there are also other rules in place to stop, like, to stop builds that are not allowed on the server. All right, and I think that's it for lethal.
Okay, so next is X-Drone PvP X.
Okay. Is it are they in the call or?
They were meant to be. All right, I'll just read out their thing. They were wondering if they can get banned for PvP under the new rule.
Under the what?
The new rules.
I don't know what they're specifically speaking about there, but no, PvP isn't banned on the server.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not very
P-
clear about what that's referring to.
PvP
PvP is
allowed.
PvP is allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the only point, I think we can move on to the next person.
Yep.
Okay, 1-6 is all right. Just move on to Wiz.
Wiz, okay. All right, Wiz, you're unmuted.
Oh, I'm unmuted? Okay, cool. All right, I've been waiting. So, a lot of the things, well, I should start with what I like first. The things I think you guys did a pretty good job on are the new point system for the punishments. I think that this definitely solves a lot of the problems that the community had with mods, with the, I guess, miscommunication between the players and the mods, where the players thought that the mods were just assigning permabans arbitrarily instead of no real system. But at least here, under this new point value system, we can see how many points somebody's racked up and accordingly what punishment they should be delivered. So the first rule I have questions on. A lot of these are if I have questions or just I think they're completely stupid. But the first one is Rule 1D, which states the one problem I have with it is sharing personal/private information about yourself and or others is strictly forbidden. I think the second part, where it says that sharing personal or private information about other people is strictly forbidden, that should be obviously completely outlawed. It's basically doxing. But personal information, I feel that this is your information, this is your person, you have a right to do what you want with it. And by taking that away, I think that this is really just moving towards an authoritarian state. But what I also like to say is that if you do decide to share your personal information, then you should, I guess, recognize the possible repercussions that it may have on your character or on your player by sharing this information to the community. So that's the one part I have problems on. I don't know if you'd like to respond, retort, refute. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to 2C.
Yeah, that's good points.
Can I?
Sorry, just give me a second. You can go ahead and talk, but I need to. Yeah.
So it's just teenagers after all, and I think that and most of the moderation team can probably agree, whether it's Discord or Reddit or something, that you guys are teenagers and you guys might not always make the smartest decisions. And I'm saying that knowing that I am also a teenager, and so it's kind of just a prevention so you don't do something stupid. I'm not saying you would specifically would do that, but so someone doesn't.
It's a safety thing because like even if you think about it and you think, oh, it's best for me, or I think like I've analyzed this and I think it's fine, in the end, if something happens, it falls back on us for allowing it. And that's just an issue, especially because we want to make sure everyone is safe on this server. We don't want there to be any like threat to anyone here.
But I don't think that should be any issue because, as I've said before, if you're going to share this information, it's implied that you've recognized the possibility for repercussions by sharing it. So one could argue that this is your fault for not recognizing the possibly harmful effect that it could have on you by sharing this information. Rule 2C states messages. Hold on, let me read the rule again. Just 2C. Oh, abusive chat formatting is unacceptable. You may not use chat abuse formatting to fake player messages or ban/mute messages. Characters that lag are not permitted. Characters that lag are not permitted, definitely. I don't want to call anybody out, but there have definitely been some people who do the NK with the Chinese characters followed after it, and it crashes clients. Abuse chat formatting, I feel that encroaches a little onto basically our freedom to express ourselves, kind of. Ban or mute messages gets a little iffy because it can cause contention, but I feel that at this point, most players can distinguish between what is a real ban/mute message and what is a fake ban/mute message. So I don't think this rule is entirely necessary at all, if anything.
I've seen several misguided people that legitimately thought they were real, especially when it comes to unbanned messages.
I just want to comment on just the distinguishing between something that's fake and real, just as a whole on this server, including that. I don't think it's necessarily very clear cut especially for newer players, or even some older players that just don't know because whatever reason. Like for example, the fake screenshot of me DMing Anti-Contra, the server's resetting, had multiple people actually thinking it's real, and like it's very easy for people to confuse things, like especially when like there's certain emotional states where things can be a lot easier to like think are real, and that can obviously be an issue where information then gets spread, and it's a lot easier to deal with if it just isn't an issue to begin with.
Okay, I'm just gonna to continue, but the first part of this to fake player messages, I think this needs a little more specification. So if it's or clarification, I mean, sorry, if you're faking a message to harm another player by I guess saying like you're revealing personal information under the guise of a different username, that should be bannable. But if you're just doing it to joke around or to have fun, like you're faking your name as Prot5 and saying I need sand, I don't think that should be bannable. It's clearly a joke. I mean, there's nothing bad, there's nothing negative that's going to come out of it. I mean, Prot5 is just getting a bunch of sand, but like what I mean, that's not an issue.
Jokes are one thing, and it's fine to have jokes, but
Okay, but this
if
rule completely
there's
prevents it.
spammed,
That's the problem.
if there's spammed messages over and over again like this, where it on some screens it legitimately looks real, then it can really cause confusion.
So on that point, I would just say just be careful with it. Just because sometimes it can have bad effects, even though most of the time it may not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Bad effects. So like you're revealing personal information under the guise of another username. That's bannable. Like
Yeah.
that's a given, basically at this point. Should I move on, or is there anything else you would like to add to that point? Okay, I'm just gonna move on. 2F. We all know that this is complete and utter BS. I mean, it's an arbitrary clause that allows Caro to basically ban anybody, like Bubby. What? Nothing bad came out of the actions of Bubby. Nobody got banned. Nobody was punished for something that
We
from
can't
Bubby's lie,
discuss
basically.
players' bans.
What?
On that, we've already addressed 2F an extent, and I don't mind going back on it.
No, I'm just stating my opinion.
Yeah,
I think
that's
we all
fine.
know that this rule definitely either needs clarification or complete removal. I think those are the only two options. Because
Yeah.
it's not very good. It's too vague, if anything, and it gives too much power to a single person who is privy to bias as any human. 4E. Let's take a little field trip. Chargeback of purchases made through the store is forbidden. Chargeback is basically you are asking the credit company to withdraw your money from a purchase that you made. Sure, I understand that it's costing the server money, it's taking away from your funding, but at the same time, I feel that a permanent ban is too strong for this. I feel that it needs clarification in the donation, where it should have a no refund policy, or you should just get your donator rights stripped. So you basically just go back to being a rando.
So I can comment on this one. It's just a Bycraft. Bycraft prohibits chargebacks in general. Like no server can do it.
All right, then I think that needs to be more specific, because chargeback in general, it's like it's too vague. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't say why you're getting banned. If you can say that it's on the system, and then people will be more likely to understand that this isn't our doing. This is the predetermined rules set by the donation company. The next one is 5E. Annexing a town requires permission from the owners of the town. However, you will still need to do a formal eviction of all players. This one I feel also needs clarification, because annexing a town, I mean, the new rules are, I guess this leans more into the Civ server, where you can annex a town by force, but requiring permission from the owners, in many cases, if you're going to annex a town, it's most likely going to be a town that has had the members either all quit or have been offline or inactive for periods upwards of a month and a half, maybe even more. This being said, I believe it is very hard to contact these people to receive permission to annex the town. And then the second part, you will still need to do a formal eviction of all players. This is unclear again. Do I need to do that? Like, what happens if I just want all the players to live in peace and I just want the territory or the rights to say that these people are part of my town?
Yeah, you can. You don't have to evict them. I'm just saying if you do choose to evict them, you have to do a formal eviction.
A
But you
formal
could
eviction.
have like
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
Hold on, Jay. Just
Okay.
About the like the towns that are deserted and that have no one. Um, and with the owners like basically quitting the server, that's kind of a case by case basis thing. So what I would recommend for that is just putting something in hashtag reports or going to the moderator, and then the moderators as a team will specifically handle that situation, because that does happen where like an entire group of people out of town quit the server and then nobody can annex it or nobody can take the land because they haven't been banned or because they could just come back at any time. But if you know they quit, they quit.
Yep, so I'll clarify further with what Overfast is talking about. So if the owner's not there, message us and we'll sort something out. However, if you've got the owner's permission, you still need to evict every single player, no matter if they've been offline, no matter what. You need to give them the week's notice.
Wait, hold on. Could you
with the
back up?
sign.
Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I have to evict them or something. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So you just give them a week's notice. So say you've got the owner's permission, that's totally fine. Now what you do after that is you get a sign, put it
Okay,
out
but
front of their
this
house.
is if I want to evict everybody. If I want to just keep them, I don't do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's all I have. But again, clarify, please. This is because right now it makes it seem that if I'm going to annex town, I have to kick everybody out. Like they're out of here. Bye bye, gone. But what you're saying is that they can still stay, but that's not clear under the current annexation rules of 5e. The next one is actually the last one before just some general questions is 6c. Traps which are manually activated by a player are allowed to kill and loot other players as long as there is a legal method of escape. I'll use a personal example for this. I made a gas chamber in Japan. I killed multiple people with it, but I'm not sure. Under old rules, it was legal, I'm pretty sure. There was a 1 block gap where you could escape. However, you could pearl to escape, which does make this legal because you are allowed to get out. However, now it's saying that if I were to close off this gap, this is my portal room, by the way. So I assume that potions put you into combat, but I'm not sure. But if that is so, then the only method of escape would have been the portal, which you can't get through if you're combat logged. So I don't, this is more of just a general question that pertains to the rules.
Okay. Well, for traps specifically, the reason why there has to be a legal means of escape is like, since we're not gonna say you can just grief to get out of a trap, since that like be stupid, right? So like you can't be permanently trapped without it. Oh, I said I was gonna not touch my keyboard. But yeah, the legal means of escape is kind of generalized as to like what is legal. So /spawns or /home, which you obviously can't do while you're combat tagged, is a legal means of escape now. And because there's a lot of issues with the old trap rules, that's something we really wanted to clarify with this. So yeah.
Okay, so it says legal method of escape. So I can't make a lava trap that's manually activated. Pitfall, drop in the lava, can't do that.
I mean, if like you add a way to get out, I
Literally
guess.
just an obsidian lined pit. Nothing else. Just lava at the bottom.
Just lava at the bottom, no
Just
way
lava
to
at the
get
bottom, just
out.
a pit. You fall, you die, your items burn. A pit.
I would get back to you on that just because, like, yeah, fall.
Because if the top is open, you can
You can
always drown.
technically ender pearl out, right?
Right, exactly.
As long as
But
there's a way.
is that like a method of escape? Like, does this reach the point where it's impossible to escape and therefore it is illegal because it's no longer considered a method of escape? Or is this still a method of escape because you have the potential to do so?
As long, like, honestly, for things like that, I would contact a mod for individual situations.
Okay.
Just because a lot of that is very what if, what is this, what am, like, very specific to what's going on. So I think that'd just be best to take on a case by case.
Okay. Traps I know are definitely some rough terrain, just based on the legality of it. So I won't hone in on that too much. Some general questions now. The first one is regarding the point system. Why is it? This question was kind of made when it was still 5 points to mute, but I feel that 7 points to mute is a bit low. considering that takes 10 points to ban, I think that mute could be raised since it's a lesser offense.
For the point system, I mean, obviously it's new and it's still in the early works. So, we're still kind of refining it and going over it and see. It's more of a thing that we have to kind of see it in action first before we know 100% like, is this like the right way to do this? Because it's one thing to have it on paper, but it's another thing to actually do it. So, we'll look over that.
Okay, because in the second part of this, it says permanent mute and permanent ban. I actually have two questions regarding this. Do we get multiple mutes, or sorry, multiple appeals for mutes and bans? Because I remember I was talking to Alex a while back, and she said that due to the limitations of Google Docs, you didn't allow multiple appeals just because you had to go in and physically delete the report, therefore meaning more work, and that you only did it when you felt it was necessary. So will there be multiple appeals in the future for all
That
players?
it's been updated for a while now. You can appeal more
okay.
than once. We still don't appeal temporary bans, really short ones, unless they're like we don't do it through the Google form. If there is something that you really it's like really obviously false or something, we've always just said to message a moderator and we'll
Yeah,
look
false
into it.
bans are completely separate from appealing. Like if you know you did it wrong and you're appealing the action.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then on the subject of appeals, I don't believe that the mod who, well, no, you know what, scratch that question. Never mind. Okay, so that's that. And then I feel that a lot of this banning stuff, I feel like it should be the prosecutor's decision to press charge or not. Because I know that in certain instances, there have been cases of docs or jokes that have tread into personal information territory, and therefore people have been banned for supposed doxing, even though I guess you could call them victim, was okay with it and didn't want to press charges and actually wanted them unbanned because they recognized that this was just a joke and they were messing around. So I feel that the person I guess victim or prosecutor in this case should have more of a say as to what happens to them. What happens to them to their person physically. Now, obviously, if they're hacking, just ban them. I don't care about them. But in terms of doxing or attacks, you could say personal attacks, I feel like they should have more of a say.
Yeah, about that, I do agree with that. I mean, the victim obviously should play a part in what happens because, you know, they were victimized. And I'm not disregarding that, but you need to have a really fine line with that because the issue with that is that it's another one of those scenarios where it can be easily abusable. So it's more like testing things out and finding the right spot and finding what we could do that would be best for everybody.
Okay. Okay, so I don't know if it was edited or anything or if it was removed, but there was a part in the rules that said faking screen caps / messages without malicious intent. I don't understand it. Without malicious intent? So you just can't fake screen caps or messages at all? Like this is I don't know.
That might be a
Without
typo.
malicious intent? Because if it was with malicious intent, obviously don't do it because it's harmful to everybody. But without malicious intent, it's most likely a joke. So if we're not allowed to have fun, what's the point of the server?
I think that would personally be something where it can cause a lot of issues to fake. Like without malicious intent, it's not really, with or without, it's really hard to determine like what is, because you can expect someone to do whatever is going to give them the lesser punishment, and you can't really always go to them to ask what it is, and it's hard to distinguish like what would be what. Like obviously faking a message saying the reset is coming is a lot different than faking a message saying like, oh, I hate this player, I hate this player, I hate this player.
So am I not allowed to pretend I'm prop 5 and say I need sand? Is that what this is saying? There's no malicious intent there. I mean, clearly it's to mess around, but it's faking a message without malicious intent, which is illegal under this current rule. Again, I don't know if it got removed, but as it stands right now, am I not allowed to do that?
So I'm gonna jump in here and say that we are gonna move on from this because there seems to be we seem to be divided among the mod team on this one. There seems to be confusion on what we actually discussed, and we'll come back to this question later.
Okay,
But yeah,
that's fine. And then final question, actually a very personal one, is 2 messages in a row spam? Because some mods, you know who you are, you're in this voice call right now, have muted me prior for putting 2 messages in a row. I don't consider this spam at all. It's 2 messages in a row. What? It's not spam. I
It
don't.
doesn't really matter. It mostly matters if it's detention to spam. Because if you say someone says, just example, I need stairs. He's trying to express he needs stairs. But if somebody says like, is this spam? Is this spam? That's
So how do
usually
you
intention
prove
to
this is the intention to spam, or is this just another case
It's
of mod
usually
bias, which I'm
pretty.
sure we are very well versed on, considering
Please,
light of previous events.
please remain respectful during this chat. Thanks.
It tends to be obvious. It's a lot of gray area, but it tends to be obvious if there's intention to spam or not. Usually, you know what I mean? They do.
so it's there is so we discussed this a lot, specifically spam related stuff, and on TeenServe and on TeenServe, they have repeatedly tried to write a rule for spam that covers like everything, and they have been just repeatedly unable to do so. And we just said that because they have tried so many times and failed over and over again, we just there's it's we've basically come to the conclusion that it's not possible. So again, we've tried to eliminate a lot of bias here, and point systems are a thing now and everything. So it's trying to it's not we can't get to a point where there is none. And for something like spam, it's there's just no way to verbalize everything or to accurately convey everything that counts as spam.
Picking back of what the X-Men said, that's another one of those areas that is like very situational, and it really just depends on like the context and the subject and all that. And it's another one of those things where we can either be super super specific, but then it would allow a lot of um inconsistent, or we can be it in order to ensure that all of it's covered and that um nobody's abusing it.
Okay.
Overfast, you could there in the 2 words that you used to describe the thing, so you might want to repeat that sentence.
Do what? Was my mic cutting out?
Yeah, your mic cut out.
At which part?
At the words you used to describe the 2 parts, the 2 sections you described.
The 2 sections. So, dang, I just forgot what I said.
I
It's
think
another one of those things where we can either make it very specific, but then it's obviously going to have a lot of issues pertaining with it, or if we can go more broad and cover all of it. And that's something that like I'm not saying that it's like it's going to be the way it is forever, because obviously if there's a lot of issues with it, we won't have it like that. But it's another one of those things where we just need to test and see what works, and if it doesn't work a certain way, or if like for example like half the servers getting muted for spamming, then obviously at that point it's not really muting for spamming, it's just muting people.
But I think okay, if let me back. If half the server is getting muted for spamming, it actually it definitively means there's a problem, because
Yeah, that's
if
what I
half the server, if the majority of the players are this upset and raving about something, it means that most likely somebody did something to mess something up, like royally mess it up.
Yeah, I completely agree with you with that. That's
Like that
kind
leaf
of,
brief.
you worded that a lot better than I did. Yeah.
Okay. That's basically all I have. But I'd just like to end by saying that clarification in these rules is key, because if you don't, people are gonna find loopholes, and it's either gonna hurt you, it's gonna hurt us, it's gonna hurt everybody. So please clarify these rules. And where's Caro? Because
Hello.
she just, oh, okay, she's back. She disappeared halfway through. All right, I'm gonna go to bed. It's 12 in the morning. I need to stay for finals, so I will see you all. Thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to seeing what changes you have.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So the next
Thank
person
you.
is Devin S.
Yeah. All right. So, not like for most of the rules, I don't really have any problem with any of them. I mean, for the most part, as far as how I play, not much, and the rules have changed. Because I like building farms and resting contraptions. So it's basically how I play the game. So the first thing, I just like, so the problem is the glitch rule hasn't changed at all. Okay, someone's saying my mic is too loud. Okay, I guess. Shh. Guys, wait. So I think like the glitch rule hasn't changed at all, and as far as who determines what glitches are allowed and what are not, I think that should change, and I think certain glitches should be allowed as they're beneficial for the server, and they add content for players like me who spend a lot of time playing technical Minecraft, stuff like that. The first one is TNT glitching. This one is not extremely important to me, but it allows for quite a lot of useful things. It's most commonly known as TNT duplication, but I don't think it's duplication. The Wikipedia definition for duping. 1 second. Okay, so the TNT duplication. The duplication definition for gaming is duping refers to the practice of using a bug in a video game to illegitimately cause duplicates of unique items or currency in a persistent online video game. TNT duplication does not create any form of unique item nor currency, and it doesn't even duplicate. In fact, it's just generating a TNT entity. There's no item created there. If you don't know what a TNT duplicator is, I will send a image if I can. Bruh. Okay,
Can
right.
I address the points you talked about?
Yeah.
So I do want to, before I say anything about this, I do want to say that at the beginning of page 10, there's an excerpt that says if you have any doubt on modification or glitch is allowed, you can ask a staff member. And then
Yeah.
obviously, if you have one that's not allowed, I mean, feel free to ask us. We really don't mind.
Yeah. The problem, well, like, there's a lot of, the problem is, I guess kind of like, I don't know how to say it. It's too, I don't know, I guess it's like too much work. I don't know how to put it in words, but there are a lot of glitches in the game. Like going through each individual one, having to make sure that each one is allowed. Like obscure bugs, like for example, 1.14. Zombie pigment will lose interest in you after like 2 minutes, and I think this is a glitch, and it's on the Jira bug tracker as a glitch. So that means you could abuse this by simply just pillaring up on a cobblestone tower and just standing there waiting for the pigment to de-aggro. And that's a pretty obvious abuse of an exploit. So having to ask staff for every single little bug or exploit that we come across is, I guess, a little too much. But anyways, back to
about that, obviously we're not gonna like start banning you for like abusing, like, or not even abusing, just using little glitches, like for example like breaking the bedrock at the top of the world. Like I don't think honestly like we care to the extent where we're gonna go out and like look and see if like, oh, this person abused this mod mechanic or something like that. And it really just depends on the glitch. The only ones that you should have to worry about are the really big ones, like TNT
yeah.
duplication, for example.
hmm Oh yeah, okay, let's just go over those then. Okay, so for TNT duplication, it's not actually duplication. It does not, and then the rest of the definition is, duplication can vastly destabilize the virtual economy or even gameplay itself, depending on the items duplicated and the rate at which duplication occurs. So TNT duplication, obviously the rate is basically as fast as you can put a resonant signal into it. But as far as the item duplicated, it's basically worthless as it is entity form, so you cannot sell it in any way. I mean, you can't sell a prime TNT. As far as virtually destabilize the virtual economy, the major contraptions that a TNT duplicator is used for is a cobblestone generator, which cobblestone is essentially worthless in the economy. A wood farms still require manual labor. Oh, okay, I'll slow down. Wood farms still require manual labor. You need to sit down and place the saplings because the dispenser can't place saplings in Minecraft, so you need to place them down yourself. So it's still manual. You still need you still need to place the saplings to begin with, and also it requires a lot of bone meal to run because all these TNT duplication based or wither cage based systems, they all require bone meal because we can't rely on random ticks to what's it called, like predictably move the blocks out of the way in time. So it's because if you use a dispenser on a sapling, it's a predictable amount of bone meal until it grows, as far as I'm aware. I was going fast because the other people were going pretty slow, so I just wanted to go a little faster. Yep. So and then the town hall. Okay, so I guess you could technically say it is TNT duplication. It dupes the gunpowder, except it doesn't. It's the prime TNT. You can't uncraft the gunpowder or whatever to get the Japan. I mean the Japan. Some guy said Japan in chat. Okay, you can't uncraft the gunpowder back from the TNT, so you can't get gunpowder. Obviously, it requires gunpowder to craft it, but I mean, first of all. I mean, I tried to address it earlier with the TGN fixer plugin, whatever. It's really hard to get mob spawns on the server, like especially creeper spawns for like mob farms and whatnot. So gunpowder is already expensive, and TNT is basically useless if we can't use TNT duping. What else is there? All right. Next. So TNT glitching adds a lot of possibilities in gameplay for people like me. You can make all sorts of stupid things, like you can make a TNT powered mob farm or golem farm, or whatever you want. It's just I guess another redstone component. At least in my opinion. Oh yeah, okay. The main problem is that on TGN, withers don't break blocks. In vanilla, the obvious non-exploity based block breaking technique would be using a wither cage, but withers don't break blocks on TGN, so we can't use it anyways. And I don't think that will change. But allowing TNT duping means that nothing has to change. Just simply changing the rules for it. The average player will basically never feel the impact of having this allowed anyways, because the cobblestone and wood is sold really cheaply anyways. And also, TNT duping is still somewhat endgame, especially on TGN, because getting slime spawns is still difficult, and most TNT duplicators require slime. And also, at 1.13 and beyond, you need a dead coral, which requires you find one of the special oceans. TNT is very hard to get. Already addressed that one. It's also used by a lot of prominent members in the Minecraft community, such as Mumbo Jumbo, Ilmango, Raiseworks, and a few other players. That's as far as zero ticking goes. Are there any questions?
Can I comment off of what you were saying with the TNT duplication?
Mhm.
So the main reason why we don't have that allowed is mainly because of concern with griefing and player abuse, especially with something like as big as TNT. I mean, you can make a TNT duplicator like above someone's base and just completely destroy it. And then
Yeah. So
also with Core Protect not a flawless system, and when you're having multiple entities interacting with each other, such as TNT, it can be a lot more difficult or sometimes even impossible to correct. And that's one of those situations that we don't want to be in where somebody gets griefed
yeah.
with a
But the thing is, if a person's gonna get banned for grief anyways on the server, I don't. Logically, they would have by now already used this technique, right? If they're gonna get banned for griefing anyways, they should have been using TNT griefing to grief a town. But we've never seen it before, right? So I don't think even if we allow it, nothing should change, right? Because it's not used now. Because if say I was gonna get perm banned, I was gonna grief Salmon Lake or something, right? What difference does it make if I manually break everything or if I bomb the whole thing? I'm gonna get banned either way, right? But
yeah.
not a single person has used it on the server yet. So I don't think this is a problem.
Well, it's one of those things where like allowing that risk to happen, it's one of those things where we really just don't want to have an opportunity for that risk to be available for the server because I mean, it's like a classic thing where like you explode somebody's like base with TNT or something. It's such a widespread like popular thing to do. And with Core Protect not being as amazing as it is, and with the hardware limitations that we have on the TGN server, it's just one of those things that we just can't risk.
Okay. So another thing is what was I saying? Oh yeah. But I mean the same thing goes for how it's used in the opposite way, the exact same way for destroying terrain. For example, clearing out areas. That's one of the major uses of TNT duping. Is to make quarries. Not there's traditional quarry. Not one of those super advanced quarries, the ones that give you all the items back. Those are extremely complex, and I don't think anyone on the server would ever build something like that, especially because the world board is so limited. But I'm talking about like the just the quarries that would clear out areas. It's purely for making large areas where you can build, and most importantly for people like me, I want to destroy all the terrain and like the render distance for a player right on the server for a project because I want the maximum mob spawns possible, which is already pretty hard. So you have to always do these drastic measures for even the smallest amount of mob spawns on the server currently.
So about that, we've already had issues with entities and lag. Like we had mob stacking implemented before. It's just another one of those hardware things where we don't have the equate that many entities on a server, and especially if it's going to be a thing that everybody uses, the server's just going to crash and it's just going to stop working, and then it's just another huge situation that could easily be avoided.
But with TNT, there's only one item, one entity at a time being created for the most part. Like a quarry will only have one TNT at a time for the most part, because if you're using multiple at a time, then one TNT would knock the second one over and it would cause inefficiencies. So for the most part, most quarries don't create multiple entities. But I know what you mean, especially if a lot of players have cobblestone generators, which are fully automatic, and so I could see how that would be a problem. But the same thing, I think the server can handle it because I know there are a lot of massive melon farms, especially. Am I cutting out?
No, you're fine.
I know there's a lot of massive melon farms and what's it called, sugarcane farms, and they both cause multitudes more entities. They're like a lot more entities, especially from a sugarcane farm.
About that, it's another one of those technical things that I don't want to go too into because it's kind of off topic. But with TNT, you're having the chunk always loaded and it just causes hardware issues and all that. But I'll get back to you on that since we have to move on and get to everybody because we're already an hour and a
Yeah.
half.
Okay. I'll go a little faster over some other things. So zero ticking is like the main thing that I've been pushing for recently because I guess TNT duping. I can understand why TNT duping is banned. It's still like technically duping. I see the hardware constraints and whatever, but zero ticking, I don't see any logical reason for this one.
Odyssey has already addressed this.
Yeah, I know,
What?
but then
Odyssey
we
already
We
NSA
had
already addressed this, and this goes down to NSA. So this is something you should talk to NSA about because we have nothing to do with that one.
wait, but he's under the well, he's like whatever the mods decide is whatever what he does, right? Because he doesn't have a authority of the Minecraft rules.
He's an administrator, but you can talk to him about this. Just DM him, but this really isn't the place to talk about the zero tech farms.
Okay. And then, oh yeah, well, in general, I just think the glitch rule should be a little bit changed. It's just too general. And also, there's so many glitches in the game that having to ask staff for each individual one is a big problem.
I'm just gonna say, I believe it was you that created the document about the glitches.
Yep.
We have a lot to focus on. I know that addressed a lot of what your points were, so I think it'd be easiest, since a lot of those are very specific things, to just update that, and then we can look at that individually, so we can move on right now, since I know there are a lot of people that are waiting. That is getting later.
All right, that's fine.
Thank you.
Oh, I have one more question about the lag machines and stuff. Sorry. So if a player builds a very large farm, will it get destroyed in this like the interest of or like deleted or whatever in the interest of lag? And will there be compensation?
Not exactly, but there are specific situations where certain farms won't immediately ban. Will address the issue and tell the player about it, and then if it continues to happen, then we punish them accordingly.
Will there be compensation though? Like if you build a very large farm that I don't know produces like I don't know, some random item, what would the compensation be for that, or is there just no compensation?
Can you reiterate that?
Is there a compensation? Like if your farm is deleted, if you build like a very large farm,
The farms won't be deleted. Just the automatic redstone that activates it will be turned off.
Well, I mean, like if it's like even if it's a manual activated farm, it could still cause like a pretty large amount of lag if it's sufficiently large enough. Would those still be deleted?
That's really situational, but we really have to move on. So just DM to say about that. But yeah, thank you. Okay, so the next person.
Alfredo.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fast and I've got to stay quiet. But my first thing is about entered someone's private property legally and are attacked by a hostile mob. I know there are other rules implemented about withers with the wither effect and elder guardians with the mining fatigue. Does that include that? Can you kill an elder guardian or wither? Is that not been discussed?
Can you repeat it? You were too quiet. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I need to amp up the volume a little bit.
So is the rule about legally killing hostile mobs in another person's property inclusive with withers and elder guardians? Because I know a lot of players like to flex, including me. They're cool mobs. So like, could I just walk in and kill someone's mob and claim it was self-defense?
That's another one of those.
That's a situation.
Yeah, that's a really situational thing, and that's a thing that's handled on a case-by-case basis. But if you're going into somebody's property to kill a certain mob, I mean, it's kind of like griefing, pretty much.
Yeah. Claiming something. I don't really know. Yeah, that's more of a take it case by case rather than having to address it as a whole.
Next question is about the chargebacks. So chargebacks, is there any way to talk to NSA about not having it be a permaban?
because I know Bycraft lets you like customize actions for chargebacks with like custom commands to be run when a chargeback is detected. So could that be changed to like a temp ban? Because I know lots of the people on here are teenagers and may have made some kind of mistake. We're all stupid.
That's already been addressed, and Bycraft doesn't allow for chargebacks. But like a situational basis, you really have to talk to NSA about it because none of us have any access over Bycraft or the perms for Dono.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think
my next
Bycraft
question.
yeah.
I think there should be exceptions about URL shorteners in regards to Discord links and YouTube links, because that was in the old rules, but it's not in the current rules. Just putting that out there. Also, for using multiple accounts, I don't personally like this rule because it's basically saying I can use an alt to do whatever I want, and my main account won't receive any consequences for it. The alt account will get banned, and that's it. Is that going to be changed?
You receive there's points that are put onto your main account because of
Yeah, but isn't it just 1 point? Pretty sure it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
1
it's just
point on
1
the main
point.
account. I don't think that's a severe enough punishment. Honestly, I'm just putting that out there. I'm moving fast though.
I think honestly, a lot of these questions are very case by case because I mean, that would really depend on what you're doing with the alt. But I
Yeah.
think leaving it at 1 as a general thing is fine.
Yeah, I got you. My next one is about Rule 2F for the very vague creating an unnecessary disturbance rule. I'm going to quote Drew on this because he's kind of far down the line. I don't know if he'll get a chance to speak, but some of the arguments for it have been that it's always been in the rules. And to that, Drew responded, tradition is not a reason to keep it as a rule. We're having this town hall to correct the rules. Another argument was it can only be executed by Caro. He said, this assumes that the lead mod is infallible. There's no check or balance system for the lead mod.
I really hate to interrupt you right here, but this is something that we've already gone over, and if we have time at the end, once we go through everyone's questions, we'll address that.
Yeah, alright, got you. For the chat formatting, is that also, like, are the mods going to stop doing that too?
Yes, the mod should not be doing that either.
Okay, cool.
I don't think, and if they are, that would be obviously handled internally. But I'm saying that now since most of them are here. No, that should not be something that we continue doing.
Alright, then for threats of real world or online action against other players are not allowed and will be treated severely. With that one, could you, I guess, clarify the online part? If I'm mad at someone and I say, I'm going to go over to your house and, like in game, go over to your in-game house and raid your town and kill you. Would that count as an online threat?
Oh, can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, so with the threats of real world or online action against other players, does online include in game? Like if I threaten someone in the game, like say I'm gonna raid your town, is that considered a online threat? Is that bannable?
Well, saying I'm going to raid your town is kind of like a more of a part of the game.
Yeah, I get that's a
So
light example, but like is online meaning like through DMs or is it
yeah,
also in game?
online, like
Yeah,
applies
and
with
if you're talking,
Discord, Minecraft.
All right, cool, gotcha. Also, I'd like to clarify. This was like lightly touched on, I think, with Wisco, but he took it in a different direction. Is an action itself bannable? Like, okay, so with an illegal action between two players, is the action itself bannable, or is it if the one receiving? I guess I have to give an example. If someone ePro glitches through my house, is the ePro glitching itself illegal, or is me pressing charges illegal?
There's nothing wrong with reporting somebody for doing something they're not supposed to do or doing something against the rules. But we're not going to ban somebody just because somebody wants them banned without specific proof for that ban.
No, I mean, if there is proof and the mods have already banned a person, but it turns out that the person who was affected by it didn't actually want to press charges.
That's a very situational thing, and I would have to get back to you on that.
All right, cool. Also, are you going to add in a joke clause? So I know in the harassment for rule number 1 talks about like racism, homophobia, that kind of stuff. Even if it's a joke, it's going to be treated as if it was serious. Does that same thing go for everything? Like, is everything taken seriously?
I mean, obviously every joke isn't taken seriously, but if it's with if it's like along the lines of hate-based commentary, or you're joking about something that people can people can be people that can be sensitive to it, it's something that should generally be avoided.
So is there going to be any clause, or is it all going to be like based on what the mod thinks about it?
All hate-based commentary on the server or in any teenager's service is considered serious, and there's no place for that kind of language or anything here. So
not
yeah,
just not just like hate based, so not just like racism, homophobia, but also like other things like doxing.
Each thing is separate. The clause you referenced explicitly says hate-based commentary.
Yeah, that's my point. Is there going to be any addition or clarification of like a joke clause for other situations?
So we already addressed doxing, and it's so I will skip that one. But for other ones that aren't specifically stated, there's always room for interpretation, and I know we try to get rid of bias and everything, but this is another situation where judging a joke or serious is just not something you can write in words on a in a rule thing. So it's up to interpretation for that one. So there is always room for judging if it's serious or a joke, and if there's questions on that, we've gotten very good at asking each other. So for that kind of thing, there generally it won't be a specific moderator making a single decision on that. It'll be a team decision. And yeah.
As for putting it into words,
I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, as for putting it into words, I guess looking at OIDF's set of rules isn't really applicable, because I don't know, his are based on if both parties agree to it, but based on your harassment clause, it's going to be taken seriously matter what, right?
Hate-based hate-based commentary is always taken seriously.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, we were just
Gotcha.
doxing already and talked about that. But harassment is, I think, would also fall under that rule. Always serious, because I think that would, even though it's not directly hate-based commentary, it's along the same lines that, and if it makes someone on the server feel unwanted, then we can't allow that.
Okay. That was my last question. But is NSA having any say in this? Is he
So-
having like
so
in the
I'm gonna-
rules?
No,
So no, okay.
he's not a moderator.
Let me clarify. NSA does not moderate the server, which means he does not have any say in the rules or anything like that, and or what we do or decisions we make as a team. In fact, he doesn't even have access to the moderator chat.
All right. Thanks.
The only the things that he does help determine anything technical, for example, one tick farms, that's a lag issue. That kind of thing is his decision, because he's been doing this for years, and none of the rest of us have any experience with that. So those are the only decisions he's making, are technical ones.
I would also like to add that this is NSA's decision. This is not my decision. This is not any of the moderator's decision. He made the decision to completely separate himself from this community besides administrating the server.
Yeah, I saw his post about that. I just asked that question for Jackson, but that was my last question. Thanks, guys. It is definitely a step in the right direction. Thank you, and I'm going to sleep.
Okay, thank you, Ned.
Also, can you guys please don't ask other people's questions, because this is part of the reason why it's taken so long. Just ask your own questions so that we can get to those.
All right, are we moving on to the next person?
Yes.
All right, next person is NIHXL. Okay, you're.
All right, yeah, I'm here. So spam movement. So my main point that I wanted to bring up today was basically I've been banned 2 times, and both bans went from obviously this one I
We
understand.
won't be discussing players'
No,
bans.
no.
I'm sorry.
I know you're not
It's-
discussing player bans. I'm discussing the policy around it.
um,
So yeah, sorry for the confusion. Basically, there's no contact with the users that are banned unless there's a screenshot from chat or whatever of the moderator banning the person for longer. So both times that I have been banned, my ban has been extended past the original ban message that I got via the Minecraft client. So are there any plans to like improve on that system? Because it's really frustrating, if you go back after one day, like, oh, I should be unbanned, right? And you can't log back in, and you have to message a moderator, and just it takes time out of your day and their day and all that stuff. Is there any like are you guys gonna think about changing anything related to that, or make any changes related to that?
So I think the rate at which we modify bans is very, very small. I think I've only done it twice in my 3-ish months here. So I just think that it's such a niche thing. We'll try. Yeah, I think that if a ban is extended or reduced or something, we'll try and let you guys know. But it's hard to, for a lot of the people here, we don't know the
yeah, it's
Discord
not
names
common,
or
but when it
anything,
does,
so
it's
it's
just
hard.
yeah, it's kind of annoying when it does happen.
Yeah.
So then I was gonna ask just a couple of quick questions. Legal means of escape, is that just by case kind of?
That was already
in the
addressed.
past?
And,
Okay. So
yeah.
60. Yeah. And then for client performance mods like such as shaders and Optifine stuff like that, I know some of the shaders that I've used in the past have given me accidental X-ray on vanilla worlds as well as some servers. I didn't use them on TGN because I wasn't playing it that much at the time. Let's say if I was to be using a shader set that gave me an accidental X-ray when the server rendered a new chunk or whatever near me, and I saw diamonds, what have you, would I be in trouble if I went and mined those diamonds?
So there are ways to X-ray in vanilla Minecraft, and also there are mods to do it and texture packs and everything. But generally, if it's a glitch or something in this accident, we're not gonna ban you for it, but just don't do that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it's not super common. It's only certain shader sets that it does happen. It's just weird, but I wanted to make sure that if I was using that shader pack again, I wouldn't get in trouble. Um, so bypass of PvP, like combat logging, if you use knockback on a sword, it can be knocked back into the nether hub. Is there, I don't know what bucket mod you guys are using for that, but is there a way to possibly change the way that works, or is it just one of those things where it's just like
That would be a question for NSA.
Okay,
That's really
yeah.
a technical NSA kind of thing that we don't really have the ability to
Okay.
deal with.
Are you guys not to like offend anyone, but are you guys familiar with bucket and how it works or anything
Yeah,
like that?
I've set up multiple servers. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just as long as like someone here. And then in regards to chargeback, we've all kind of circle jerked this a little bit too long, but some card providers can charge back or flag suspicious purchases. Is that one of those things that's case by case? Like if we manage to show proof that it was just like automatically charged back by a card provider.
Honestly, this again is something that has to go to NSA. I can't deal with this, and neither can any of the mods. So any questions they're on about that chargeback need to be directed to NSA because I really can't answer them.
I think a lot of these questions are very case by case, and if you think it's case by case, it's probably a better idea to DM the mods rather than bring it up now because it is getting later, and we obviously want to get to as many people as possible before people start dropping out because it's getting late.
So, if your question isn't about the rules specifically, if it's not about a change in the rules or something in an addition or something, please save it for later. This is just about the rules right now.
And then another one with the rule about alt accounts, just for a little bit of clarification, I tried understanding this to the best of my ability in the document that you guys released today. If if I was to accidentally log in on my alt account, and is it one of those things where I would get banned automatically for it, or would it just be should I just like contact the moderator and tell them I accidentally logged in on my account, what have you?
We don't monitor those like meaning like if you logged in and you immediately logged out or something like that because you realized you weren't on the right account. Because that could be case by case also.
Gotcha.
Because an alt account in general, everything's very case by case, like I said earlier.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, basically that's it. Follow me on Twitter at OMG9, and I'm out of here.
Okay, because of time concerns, we're gonna have to limit everybody's time to about 5 minutes each. I mean, obviously we'll let you be more flexible with the time, but generally try to just keep it compact with what you're saying and don't trail off of the specific topics with the rule changes. So the next person is I509. All right, you're unmuted.
Okay, just give me a second. I'm also logging this stuff, so just give me a second to type in this one thing. Okay, so I mean, there's some changes in the rules that definitely make sense, like the whole you can't trap someone in a combat log loop by just setting home and keep hitting them forever. Now, I read through the rules and I did find a few issues. I'm actually going to paste a link to a document where I kind of detailed some of these issues, but I'm going to explain them a bit more. and I may just skip a few and go around the place. So, the first thing I'm going to ask about is you mentioned in like 2A you can't advertise Discord or like gaming servers or Minecraft servers not related to an organization within the server, and I really think that you should be rewording it. What I understand it as, it's okay to advertise like a Discord channel for like, I don't know, some town on the server, but I think it should just be reworded to be a little more clear. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is in 3B, where in there they mention you cannot change your username to be similar to or match another player's username without their consent. The issue I see with that is mainly what if there could be just, I don't know, an unintentional coincidence in that case, or I don't know, it's a joke, and I don't know who gets the authority to determine whose username takes precedent over that rule. Okay, and then more scrolling. On the case of 4D, I think it'd be a good idea maybe to link to a little page about how to prevent you from getting like doxxed. Just like a little tutorial on how not to get doxxed, just for a bit of safety on players' behalf.
An online safety tutorial or something.
Yeah. And okay, section 5. So you say you have to do a process to do it. Now, the issue I see is what rights do the player who's being evicted have in like opposing the eviction?
So hold on, let me answer this one. I think that the whole thing of an eviction has kind of gotten mixed up recently, and there have been some enforcements of this rule that aren't the way that we originally enforced the rule and aren't the way that the rule is supposed to be enforced. Evictions, you can't evict someone off of their own property. Now, there's a special case for towns. Some towns have it set up where you are, I can speak only for, I can speak for Volcano Cult was an example when that was a thing. You were simply allowed to use the land and the land was owned by the town. So that's a special case there. But you can't be evicted off of land that you own. So if you build on your own property somewhere and someone tries to evict you, they can't do that. If, for example, you live in a town and there is a rule or clause that says you are simply like renting the land or something like that, or borrowing it, then however the town has it set up, town leaders control the land. That's that's all their stuff.
Okay, let me just switch back to it in Discord. So I'll move on to a different section. So in 6C, you mentioned that traps are allowed in the case they are manually activated by a player. Now, the issue I see there is, does this trap end up staying legal if, for example, the person who's being trapped accidentally fires off the trap? Like, I don't know, they accidentally hit a tripwire and the trap fires off?
That's case by case.
Okay, then there's 6E where it talks about moving a player outside a PvP protected area. So I really think the PvP protected area should maybe be, I don't know, put at a different level, or there should be some plugin that prevents within the certain like world guard region of allowing players to push people around.
That's one that's a question for NSA.
Yeah.
Two, as far as I'm aware, there's not a way to do that because of the way that it's coded into the game. You can't. I can't speak for certain, but it sounds like something that would not be possible, or there wouldn't be support for it in a mod, even if it's a plugin, even if it's possible. But once again, NSA question.
Okay, then I'm gonna go on to the whole inescapable trap thing. So,
We already addressed.
We've gone over
yeah,
this.
this
We
is
already
like
addressed
another clarification. So you mentioned the whole case of fall traps, that if you can escape using command, you can get out, or other legal method. Now, I know that you're probably just say there's another case by case thing, but there should probably be some consideration in case you like put a piston bolt thing in the bottom and prevent you from ever staying still. And then, okay. Also, in the case of traps, I think there maybe should be a thing relating to portal traps. Now,
portal traps are specified.
yeah, I
That
know.
would you can't.
As an
There's no
example.
way to get out.
It's already an
Yeah.
example in the rules.
I mean, I'm going to mention this.
It
It's
is
a bit
literally
off
listed as
topic.
an example.
Okay. I'm going to mention this is a bit off topic, but I'm kind of working on a plugin that could help people escape portal traps, but I'll go talk to NSA about that when I get it into a workable state. Okay, so go on more.
We've already passed the 5-minute mark, so just try to wrap up.
Okay. Okay, this is the last section I'm really going to mention. So it mentions on the case you can't make modifications to the client computer mouse. Now, there's a bit of a weird case where, like, for example, I use the MX Master, and it has a sideways scrolling in the scroll wheel that has variable friction, so it can scroll very quickly, and that could cause issues with, for example, just people thinking I'm doing something odd on the client side.
That's not a thing. Like it's not a problem. If it's hardware that's built into your mouse, it's fine. That's mostly that rule's mostly against the use of macros and auto clickers and stuff like
Okay,
that.
and the final statement on the section about allowed modifications. Specifically in HUD mods, you should probably be going to a defined list of every single option rather than just saying etc., which can leave a bit of a empty blank spot.
There are lots of it's hard because a lot of mods are just forks
Yeah.
and ports and stuff, and it's hard to list everyone, and we're always going to get questions about it, but we need to move on here.
Okay, point system. Is there going to be a way for players to track how many points they have? And that's at the end of the document for everything I've mentioned.
Yeah, you'll be notified of we'll be keeping track of point totals and everything. So if you don't know it, ask a moderator, and they should be given to you with your point total will be given to you. So
okay,
that's everything. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, next is Drew, and I'm gonna start reminding people, or I'm gonna start mentioning to people once we hit the 4-minute mark, so we don't go over the time limit, so we can try to get to everybody. All right, Drew, you're unmuted.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Mhm.
All right. So I want to address 2F. So first off, thanks for setting this all up. Obviously, it's taking a lot of time out of your guys' days, and it shows you really do want to give us a voice and take our ideas into consideration. So 2F was brought up earlier, and Kara responded to it. However, the community did not have a chance to respond to these responses. So what I'm going to do is break down some of her.
Okay, we really don't have a lot of time, and if you, we can talk about this rule later. We've already discussed it a lot, and we do want to get everyone in. So if you have questions about 2F specifically, please direct them to a moderator or something after this. We can have another. We can do.
We did not
something
discuss
else.
2F.
Yes,
Nobody
we did.
responded to.
Yes, we did. We discussed 2F a lot. So if you don't have, we can discuss 2F more later after this, but right now we just need to get to everyone. So
There
if you
was
don't
one
have,
written in comment about 2F, which Kara responded to, and nobody ever had an opportunity to actually
Please.
explain any of the issues. I can just summarize quickly if that's what you'd like, but I think the community does want to talk about this.
we do need to move on. We really need to move on. It's for a lot of people. It's really late, and we just need to move on. I'm sorry that I'm cutting you off, but everyone wants to get a chance to speak here. So if you don't have a question about 2F, or if you have a question about 2F, please direct it later. If you don't have a question that pertains to other rules, please, we need to move on.
I'm pretty sure he left the call.
Oh, okay.
All right, next person. Next person is Jackson. Jackson. Where's Jackson? Jackson's not here.
All right, next is user taken. So this is his point. I've just posted it in Townhall, and so just waiting a response.
So we specify strongholds and ocean temples, just because there are a limited amount in a world, and especially with the way that this world was generated with the custom world generation, there's even fewer of them. So that's why ocean temples are like are public. But we did discuss the whole Guardian Farm thing, and if you need a link to that discussion, we can get one. But that's uh, not really something we have time to talk about right now. As for the point on, where was it? The Enderman farm. You said that we're not able to roll it back. That's just a Minecraft limitation, and there's nothing we can do about it. And you absolutely have the right, if you built it, to claim it as private. Who's next? If that answers your question, Mold.
Oh, we're moving on to the next person.
If that answers his question, he's typing. Okay, yeah, he says it's good. So who's next?
Pilio.
Epic guy.
Oh, it's Epic.
Is he in here? He said something in game chat, so
Looks like he's not here.
yeah, he's here. Scoop.
Is he?
I just unmuted him.
Oh, there we go.
You're unmuted.
I think Epic had a text message, not he didn't want to speak.
All right.
Okay, Chara on behalf of Prot is up next then. All right, you're unmuted. Muted. Go.
Can I be heard?
Yeah.
All right. Just give me 1 minute. So, I guess I'm talking.
This is about Prot's point.
I'm just checking what he's told me to say. Okay. So the first thing you wanted me to address was the legality of pet withers. I don't really see much of a clarification in the rules as of yet, but I just wanted to know about that. Oh,
Could you repeat that, please?
So he first wanted me to go over. I didn't really see, nor did he, much of a clarification on like pet withers. Well, where do those stand?
So it's really a case by case basis, but intent is like the big thing. If the wither aggroes you and you kill it to stay alive, or something, or it's a ghast or something, that's obviously self-defense. But if pets are like kept properly, like for example, a wither is completely encased, it can't leave anyway, because it can't break blocks, so that shouldn't be a problem. But it's case by case at that point.
So I guess one of my other frustrations is a lot of the stuff is said, we said over and over, it's going to be case by case. But I think that was a lot of the frustration haven't been cleared up, and they're not very consistent, because we're constantly saying it's case by case.
Anything that is intent based or relies on something else, like approval or the situation, for example, evicting, that is case by case. For towns, that's case by case because it differs between towns. Anything like that has to be case by case, and we can't address that in the rules themselves because the situation varies widely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you guys have repeatedly expressed frustrations with general rules that aren't that can cover so many broad topics, so we wanted to avoid them. And unfortunately, for some situations, there's no way to avoid both.
I guess I'm still frustrated because if that was like our frustration, why are we not addressing those? So I had another question. Is there going to be another town hall that is not rule based?
We don't have anything planned
don't
at
have
this
anything
current
yet.
time.
But will that be a possibility? Like,
yes,
it's on. Yes, it's a possibility.
Gotcha. So another thing, I have.
Who's doing that?
Prod asked me.
Hold on, it's
handpicked.
Another thing I wanted to discuss on the behalf of Prot is there's this one rule here. Let me find it in the list because he is right here. 1D, sharing personal information, and it says that is public in it's like yourself as well. So if you do that outside of the server or any like official TGN things, is that okay? If you DM somebody it and you're not harassing them or anything, or in another Discord?
We don't manage outside Discords we only manage what's on our services.
Would that can be considered like okay?
We don't moderate outside Discords.
Would that be okay? Like yes or no? Like if like would you guys would not ban anybody for it if they did it elsewhere?
No, we would not.
Yeah, we
because
don't.
We don't moderate outside Discords. It's not our place.
Cool. I got that answered. I think I have one more thing. So there's a lot of frustration in the community about not being heard. And so I really want to stress the point, and me and Prot do both, about the ARC Council and why it would be super destructive to have that be moderator chosen. I think that would really feel really disrespectful to me and a lot of other people because you're having a community based, like a representatives of the community, representatives of the community if they're not voted in by the community, which is super frustrating because then you're not there's very little chance that you're actually going to have those people might not be critical of certain things, and they might not get across actual community concerns.
This is. I mean, I understand that you're concerned. This isn't really the time to discuss ARC. We're here for the rules.
I mean,
Like I
like,
see
I'm
what
trying to
you're
discuss
saying
the
though.
rules.
I see. Like I'll take that. I know what you're, and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, like I and this is why I kind of like just want another town hall that is not, because a lot of our concerns aren't rule based. So I guess I'm not going to take up any more of anybody else's time searching for things, and then I'll just wait for my own personal turn. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is from Note. I'll speak for him. He said his issues with 2F in the clause. It is not only being vague, but it's a rule extremity that is placed by Carol to stop Carol from abusing the rules. There's a clear issue with this that many of my friends and I can see. The issue with these are as such. One, nothing stops Carol from breaking her own rules. For example, I'm going on a diet, I won't eat chocolate. The next week, she does, breaking her own rule. Two is being used as a cop-out for any or all concerns with vagueness of the clause of Rule 2F. 3, saying you won't abuse it or it doesn't assure us that you won't, just like how Theo says he won't kill you. 4, saying that other servers have a clause does not make it any less of an issue. 5, players shouldn't have to be stopped on their actions.
Okay, about 2F, because a lot of people are concerned about it. It's not that we're avoiding the question, it's just that it's such a crucial topic among all of us, and it's something that does have to be addressed, but we simply just don't have the time. It's almost 2 a.m. for most people here. We really want to get to everybody, and we don't want anyone to be left out. And we just don't have the time to spend more time on 2F today, but we definitely will address it.
It's a longer
Just
discussion than any other individual rule.
yeah, just on that point a little bit. We are working on ways to get your guys' voices heard other than through the Minecraft server feedback. So any questions relating to those, we will like that you guys will get those questions answered soon enough. We're working on it now.
Yeah, and we addressed 2F for about 30 minutes at the beginning of the town hall, and if we spend any more time on it, then not everybody will get the chance to talk. All right, so next person.
Okay, next is Saucy. Okay, you're unmuted. Feel free to go ahead.
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah.
I need some diamonds.
Are you kidding? Is that all?
Yep.
All right. Following that is Soggy Cucumber. You're up next.
Oh, is it test 1, 2?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I can give you some diamonds, if you want.
Please keep it on topic. On topic. You've got 5 minutes to speak. That's it.
I think that was it.
All right, Char. You're up next. Okay, you should be unmuted.
Oh, hey. Sorry, I had myself on mute. My bad.
Okay, when you're ready.
Right. So this is, I guess, slightly connected to 2F, but it's not actually to discuss the rule itself. That makes sense. Bubby's ban.
We're not talking about specific bands.
I want to like kind of ask something about the difference of rules, and it applies to it. I'm using it as an example. Does that make sense?
Okay, it needs to be at least general.
Okay. Well, it's not exactly about hidden specific. I'm using it as an example. So just if a ban happened before the new rules, as the new rules say they are effective as of about 20 minutes ago, shouldn't the person who was banned be judged, or their application be judged based on the rules that came before the new ones and before they were released, at least?
Sorry, could you just repeat it? Sorry.
So as Bubby is an example, like since he was banned before the rule he was banned for actually came out and was released.
Okay, I can answer. I get what you're asking. So that rule is actually a community-wide rule. It's not just TGN, and all community-wide rules apply in TGN automatically. So regardless of whether or not that rule was in our rules, it still is in effect for that specific case.
Okay.
But otherwise, Otherwise, we will not act on rules that are not in place yet.
Yes, that makes sense. My only concern with that would be make a clause in our own rules here that says, okay, all other server or community-wide rules take effect here as well. Here is a link to this rule, this rule, that rule. That's all I'm going to get at there. I guess I won't discuss that because it's not rule-based. That's for another time. Let me see here. I've got to open this incognito tab, which is hiding because Mac has a bad operating system. Figured it out. One of my other concerns is that I feel that a lot of the rules were really cleared up. I guess I said that before, and we're saying over and over it's case by case. And I guess I'll try to add myself back in the queue when I can think of more stuff, but most of my issues have been concerned or aren't rule-based. Guys?
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up is Zarthacon. All right.
I'd like to just bring up first off saying thank you for taking your time. Like, we're all staying up, but you're staying up as well, so I appreciate it. I'm new to this community, so I don't know if this is a system that's in place. But more specifically, publicly logging bans, mutes, maybe, and other stuff like that. Is that done currently?
No, we don't publicly log things.
Right. And so what I'm wondering is if you could create a system like that so that we can look back on different bans and different mutes and see the reasoning behind them, use those reasons to go forward from there and make decisions from those, sort of like, I don't know, just like a system like that.
We do already log everything privately. We just haven't made that information available.
Right. And so I think a lot of these case by case questions that are coming up are possibly because people don't have access to these unpublic situations, private situations, I mean. And I personally, I don't know how the community feels about this. Would see that believe that transparency would lead to more trust with the moderation team and a better understanding of the decisions that are made.
All right, yeah. We've a lot of people have been asking for more transparency within the moderation, between moderation and community. So that's definitely something we've been taking into account, and we're trying to work on solutions to solve these concerns.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for your time, and y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't have anyone else registered to talk. So if you want to talk, please post a message in Townhall right now. If it's something we haven't already talked about, otherwise we'll be finishing up, I guess.
I'm not looking at Town Hall right now, but if no one else, I'm gonna have Epic go right now. Epic, I'm gonna
Yeah.
unmute. Okay,
It's
you're
Hi. So I'm just trying to find the message right now. Because I'm a fucking idiot. But basically, my request pertains to the chain of command issue, whereas Caro is on top of the chain of command. But why is it that all reports have to be filtered to her? Why couldn't it just be that you would have more individual power within the mod structure, such as with Alex? Because when you talked about Alex, you said that she didn't have much power, and I know this is a lot, way back in the conversation, but I've had this for a while. But I'm just saying that shouldn't there be more independence pertaining to the higher ups, which as in Alex and more higher up mods, because obviously not all moderators should have completely independent decision making, but you can see many instances throughout history where individual commanders, generals, politicians, they have more control because they have more experience with the issue that they handle. So I'm asking, if people like Alex should be given more control instead of having to report to Caro.
So, as
The
many of you are
report's
aware,
not immediately given to
Also, please let Drew talk, please. That'd be great.
here I'll address the first one. So, as many of you are aware, Alex is retired, and the reason Caro specifically has begun to get involved more is because we don't currently have a team leader. That's not something we haven't had. We don't have a replacement yet. But
I have
um,
many suggestions for a team lead, such as Muzak 23, who has probably the
we're
most.
not hearing these. We're not. This is about
Yeah,
the rules
okay,
right
yeah,
now.
that's fair. That's what
And
I missed.
so the concerns that we try to make most decisions as a team, and at least big ones anyway, because we try to remain consistent between every moderator's actions. We don't tier ourselves. We don't list ourselves as juniors and senior moderators for a reason.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. But
Because
what you
we want to. Everyone has the same abilities to do that. That's what being a moderator is. Everyone has the same voice. So we
Mhm.
so we don't. That's why we don't tier ourselves. That's why we don't list people as junior seniors.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking for more like higher up mods, like people like team leaders. Like, why would they have to report issues directly to Caro, and why would they? Why
Many
wouldn't they? Would they have more power? Is what I'm asking with this new rule set.
when Alex was still team lead, we never really. Kara wasn't involved with the moderation of TGN as much, unless
Yeah.
Alex specifically had a question. If we had questions, we would go to Alex.
Didn't you say earlier in the discussion that all issues would be filtered to Caro?
No, all not most big issues. All big issues.
99% of the issues are either handled by individual mods or by the team lead. And if Caro is involved, then it's a unanimous decision by the whole team and not just Caro herself.
And the reason that specifically now it's Caro is because we don't have a team lead. So
Yeah.
these questions would go to a team lead if we had one. We just don't right now.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Also, can you please feature Drew? He's been wanting to get on forever now. He really needs a spot. Thanks. Okay, bye.
All right. Drew, you should be unmuted.
Hello?
Hello.
Am I allowed to discuss 2F?
Sure.
Okay.
You still have the same. We're still trying to keep it short because it is getting late for everyone, and we do want to wrap this
I
up.
have everything already prepared, so I just want to get this out. And then you guys can just at least have it as food for thought. If you want to respond, you can. If you want to move on, you can. I don't care. I just want to get this out. All right. So, Kara already responded to some concerns about the 2F rules, but I don't think that a lot of her arguments are very sound. So I'm going to just go through and break them down real quick and hopefully try and get a better understanding of how to address this rule, because obviously loopholes need to be addressed and such. So first, Kara said it's always been in the rules, and obviously tradition isn't a valid reason to keep a rule. The entire point of this town hall is to correct rules. Second, she said that it can only be executed by Karo as a reason for it to be kept, and this assumes that the lead mod is infallible. While I personally don't have any reason to believe that Karo would use this for anything bad, there is no check or balance for the lead mod and no way to ensure that this mod is being enforced fairly, or this rule is being enforced fairly. There's no reason to assume that the lead mod is infallible. Third, she said rules can be broken but not punished as a reason to keep this rule. This doesn't make sense because this clause is meant to address things that are not in the rules. So if a player does something that a moderator thinks is wrong that isn't in the rules, then a rule hasn't been broken because it's not in the rules. Fourth, she says it will not be used to ban people I don't like. And again, we cannot assume that a mod is infallible. We have to build the rules as watertight as possible. Fifth, she argues that most other servers have this. However, other servers are not an argument. There is no reason to assume other servers have perfect moderation rules, especially since Minecraft servers are prone to having rules that give moderators overreaching power. So, those are the arguments she presented. In order to address this rule, we can look at the reasons it exists and correct the implementation to match in a way that both parties agree to. As explained by Caro, this rule exists to prevent players from abusing loopholes and to punish players for things that mods believe are wrong but are not included in the rules. If the moderation team would like to punish intentional and continued abuse of loopholes, then make that a rule with a set punishment. Then, users who continually abuse loopholes can be punished for a continued loophole abuse, and the loophole can be corrected in the rules afterwards. This prevents users from being punished for things that are not in the rules, corrects the rules to fix the loophole, and does not punish the user for anything not in the rules. This is, however, entirely different from punishing users for doing things that the moderators would like to punish, but are not in the rules. Intentionally abusing the semantics of the rules is separate from doing something that is simply not covered by the rules. You cannot enforce a rule that does not exist. Simply warn the user if this occurs and add the rule if necessary after the fact. In summary, situations must be assessed according to the rules that existed at the time of occurrence. Rules cannot be enforced retroactively, as the rule set is an agreement between the players and the mods to play on the server, and it does not make sense for the players to agree to rules that can be subject to change and applied retroactively. And that's all I have to say. So thank you for your time. Thank you for letting me speak. And I'll be around for a little bit longer if you'd like to answer that or have me respond to that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I concern. One thing I want to address, the second point, where you were talking about how the rule can only be executed by Caro. One thing that we do need to keep note of is that whenever we do things like this, it's a unanimous decision. So if it's like something that Caro wants to do, but none of the mods want to do, then it won't happen. It needs to be a unanimous decision by the majority or all mods that's agreed upon. So it's impossible. So it's extremely highly likely that it cannot be abused, or at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
So
I do think that you can actually go ahead. Go ahead.
So this rule is actually a community-wide rule, and I talked about this before a little bit. So this would actually require a rewrite of the rules, not just in TGN, because all community rules automatically apply on TGN. So regardless of whether this is in our rules, it still applies here. And I know that's going to upset a lot of people. It's just the way that things are, at least they're set up now. So that requires the other moderators from other branches to also give their feedback. And then the second point I was going to say is we've actually had 2 cases recently that have been punished more severely than they would than the offenses themselves because of the 2 cases recently that have been that fell under this rule. But I'm not going to bring up what the second one was because I don't want to, because we haven't discussed this rule, or we haven't discussed this ban in previously, and I don't want to bring it up now because I don't want to just reveal that information right now.
Sure.
But this is being introduced not just because we have had one encounter with this. We've actually had multiple recently so that's partially why we're introducing it now, and not and yeah, that's partially why.
Yeah. So essentially, my point here that I'm trying to hit is that this is not the solution to the problem that you guys are presenting. The problem being rules, or well, clear problematic behavior that is not included in the rules that should be addressed but cannot be because it isn't in the rules. And what I'm trying to, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is that having a catch-all is not an appropriate way to handle this, because the user reads the rules as he or she is expected to, and expects to be punished according to those rules. It's very difficult to enforce that sort of thing, to have that sort of agreement when there's a catch-all in the rules, where rules can be applied retroactively and in a different manner than the rules would seem to suggest. Obviously, there are 2 different scenarios. There's people picking apart the semantics of rules and intentionally violating loopholes in the rules, which can be an offense in itself, where the user would receive the punishment for violating a loophole rather than an arbitrary punishment created on the spot. And then continued loophole abuse can be escalated. But that's entirely different from breaking a rule that doesn't exist, which I think is a problem, because when a rule just does not exist in the rule set, it's extremely I don't know how to put it. It is not very conducive to the agreement between the players and the mods through the rule set to have that sort of catch-all where a player can be permanently banned for something that was literally not in the rule set. And there are examples of this happening, but aren't mentioning specific cases.
Okay, so my micro, yeah, okay. I'm not a Minecraft mod, but I am still a TGN mod, and I'd like to make a small brief comment here on Rule 2F. That rule exists for all the communities. Obviously, it's been stated before. I think you guys are slightly missing point in the use of it, which is probably partially because of the way the rule is worded. The point of the rule is not to get somebody for something that's not within the rules, or to retroactively punish people for new rules that we add later or something. The point of the rule is because there are some users that will not quite break rules. They'll very much skirt the line on rules multiple times, and like people doing it on purpose to try and skirt the rules, and it is something that creates other issues. There's like specifically in relation to the Discord server, the main Discord server. There's people that will skirt some of the personal attack style rules. They're not quite breaking the rules, but they're almost doing it continually in a way that creates issues where other users will become upset, and they have essentially the same effect of if they were breaking the rules. The point of this rule is for those kind of situations where it's a user who's purposely continually skirting rules to get around punishment for things that aren't fully entirely covered for rules. It's not this user is just outside of the rules here and we're going to ban them because they blah blah whatever. It's people who are continuously doing things that aren't quite punishable. And I think I've only seen this rule used twice in the entire time I've been moderating. That's all I have to say about the rule.
Okay, so I'm glad that we could establish what the rule is used for. One thing you said was that we're missing the point of the rule due to the wording. So if we're missing the point of the rule due to the wording, then why is it worded in the way that it is? Because you said that the point of the rule is because people are continuously, well, some users won't quite break rules, but they'll skirt the line multiple times on purpose. In other words, they will continually abuse loopholes in the rules, right? So is that what you're saying?
So, well,
I wasn't a part of the Minecraft rule-making process. That because I'm not a Minecraft mod, but that wording comes directly from the other rules. It's intentionally broad so that it can fit certain situations, because not every single situation is a user continuously skirting rules. Sometimes it's a person that will be doing something completely within the rules, but is very much making a thing or making issues with tons of other users. It's not like this person's not breaking the rules, but we think they should be banned. It's oftentimes a lot of stuff with other users having, or lots of other people having issues with this specific person.
So I think that I can clarify a little bit more.
Yeah.
This rule, this wording for the rule comes directly from the other sets of rules, and so it makes this rule is a lot clearer when considering the context of a Discord server or a subreddit, where there are just less the actions that could be considered disturbing, like the normal functionality or whatever. The normal flow of things is much more limited and much more clear cut as to what falls under that. Whereas for like a Minecraft server, you could be just killing people, and it's like it's not the same thing. And I think that's part of the reason that there is confusion here.
Yeah, so I agree with that, and I'll talk about each point. So one thing that was said was sometimes someone will do something within the rules that causes issues. So if something's causing issues and it's not in the rules, and it should be, then wouldn't the proper response be to create a rule for that and then possibly release an announcement, hey, the rules have been updated so that players know. And then if the action continues, then that rule, the player can be punished for that rule that's been created since they should be notified about it, right? Second point, I think the X-Man, it was you that talked about how this rule specifically in its wording works best in a Discord server or Reddit. So then why not change the rule for a Minecraft server? If you're saying that it works for a Discord server and not a Minecraft server, then yes, I think we all agree with that. We all agree that there's vague wording. So why don't we work on fixing that vague wording and focusing on correcting the specific issues that we're trying to address, which are, as has been said, someone trying to do something within the rules that causes issues. I think eliminating that vagueness would be very beneficial.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, and also, I understand that this, well, I understand now that this rule comes from, I guess, higher up in the chain, that it's like a community-wide rule. This is, I don't know, it's, like you said, it was, a Minecraft server is entirely different from a Discord server or Reddit. Also in that, a lot of the users here actually financially contribute to the upkeep of the server. And so having this sort of vagueness in the rules can feel very unsatisfying and very difficult to play with. All in all, I just want to.
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. Are you saying essentially along the lines that people who have paid should have a say in the rules? Or could you like restate what you?
That's a different point than the 2F rule, and I probably shouldn't have brought it up.
Well,
But I don't want preferential treatment for donating users, but I think it's important to recognize that the community the community is the reason that the server can be paid for and continue running. Again, I don't want preferential treatment for donating users. I don't think that's necessary, especially in terms of punishments. I think that it sets a bad example for people who have paid money to the server to have later actions. I don't think that's a good standard to set. However, in terms of overall moderation and having a voice and stuff, yeah, I do think that the community should have more of a say, since we do essentially pay for the Minecraft server to exist.
Yeah,
But I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that now. I think that's a topic for another time. If there are still other questions or responses about 2F, then we can talk about that or address that. And I think
Yeah.
other people want to talk too. So after the 2F discussion, yeah.
I just want to say, I already mentioned this, that we are working on ways for you guys to get your voices more heard, and yeah, you'll hear about that pretty soon. So,
I think that's awesome. Thank you.
all right.
So is there anything else on 2F? Any other responses or final words on where a direction that plans to be taken with that? If there are plans to reword that or to specify that? And also if there are plans to no longer retroactively punish users and instead to warn them, create the rule, and then punish repeated usage or repeated abuse of that rule after it's been created?
Once again, there's no retroactive punishment. The rule automatically applies in TGN because it is a community-wide rule. We've clarified that before, but
Right, but can you at least see how it comes off as retroactive punishment when it's not when a user is punished for? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, yeah, I understand what you're saying too, that the rule exists, but it's still wishy-washy. Yeah,
yeah, it's almost 2 a.m. for some of you guys, so we should probably,
of course,
get moving.
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak. Hope this is something that you guys can think about and possibly we can talk about further or address in some way. Thank you.
All right, Shah, you're up next, and you're asking 2 questions, and then we've got Light, and then.
Am I up? Okay, cool. So as 08F just asked, I wanted to get it like, I know I mentioned the ARC, but that being took in effect, I talked to the previous lead of the ARC, and they described to me that all 3 communities must be ready. You can see here of it's across all communities, and what's I don't think is that all 3 communities are very different, and their communities are very different. The community there just is not nearly like on the actual subreddit is not nearly as strong. Most of the users scroll through and upvote what they like. Here and on the main Discord, we have our unique communities which have very strong bonds, and there's a lot of people who are more prominent in those. Can't really treat these things when we're seeing a user get banned permanently. When he is extremely prominent, he's done a lot of good in the community. And so banning him without warning is really frustrating because a lot of us know him. He also, Theo said this before, that it hurt him a lot emotionally. He couldn't play with his friends anymore. Like we grow very tight bonds here. And so especially when aren't even posted, like these ones are server wide when those aren't even posted in our own rules. So that's a frustration I have. Why can't we have ARC now and have a different leader of it who knows our community? I guess that's a question. If you'd like to go ahead and answer that, you can.
Arc is actually being announced tomorrow. We've had the plans in place. Arc, I don't really understand your comparison with the other 2 branches because Arc is done across all 3 branches. And this was NSA's brainchild, and this
So
roundup.
Are the users in ARC, do they work across all 3 branches? Because actually the leader,
No.
the previous leader, individual.
So Arc is done on each branch with separate people. 8 different people will be chosen across each branch. So there'll be 24 people in all with Arc. They will work in
And
their
those
own
are
channels.
moderator chosen, correct?
What's that?
Those are moderator chosen, correct?
Yes. But
the previous director told me. Why are they moderator chosen?
Because quite frankly, democratic representation on an online community really doesn't work out very well. NSA has explained this previously in Minecraft feedback. If you want to go and search
NSA
his
is a
reasoning.
moderator right now, so why is that taking into account? Why are you taking his opinion into account? He's not a moderator anymore. We went over this. You can't use NSA when you want to, and you can't.
Not attack, let her speak, she's letting you speak, and you let her speak.
Sorry.
I'm trying to address your questions right now, and it's very hard for me to do that when you're interrupting me and acting aggressive.
I'm sorry.
As I was saying, they are chosen by the moderators. They have input. I also have input on it. There's no bias when we are choosing these people. We don't want, if you ever go into school and have student council representations, it's always the most popular people that are chosen. And we had this similar form of this on the Discord with Trusted, and it has not worked out. The best way to do this is to choose people who we think are going to be the best fit to get engagement going between the moderators and to the users. It's not for bias. We're not going to choose our friends. We genuinely want to see an engagement between the two groups. I want to see this mod team be more engaged with you guys. I want to see ideas coming from you guys to the mod team. I want to see this work done between you guys, and I want to see the community relations improve. That is a big goal of mine for the summer to be improved on by the end of summer.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
There will be 8 people per branch chosen. They will have their own channel. They will work directly with mods. They will have proposals. There is a proposal system that they go through where the proposals are voted on by all ARC members, by moderators, and then if it's not vetoed, then it goes through. You will see a lot of events that come through this. There will be some rule changes that come through this, and there'll be some policy changes that come through this. This has been demonstrated by the past 2 ARC terms. We have not had a problem with ARC. In fact, we've actually seen a huge boost of engagement, especially with the other 2 communities. I don't think ARC really worked. I mean, it worked for TGN, but it didn't see the engagement that you will probably see this time around because of how small TGN was at the time. But ARC will be released tomorrow, and there'll be applications out for a week, and you guys will have your own applications, and you will be free to choose, throw in your application, regardless of whether or not you were banned on a Minecraft server. But please understand that all history is going to be taken into account.
So I think
So my frustration with that is that like us as a players worked really hard to get where we are on the server. Yes, it is popularity, but all democratic systems are. You have to work towards getting that popularity. It's not just by the snap of your fingers.
Right, I understand that, but the problem with teenagers is that a lot of it has to do with friendship. It doesn't have to do with actual ability or talent or care. A lot of it has to do with friendship with teenagers, and that's the problem. That's where it lies. And I don't want to see people be chosen who are not going to work on ARC, who are not going to commit to it. I want to see people who are going to commit to it for the full 60 days. We unfortunately have a lot of problems with people who don't even fulfill 30 days, and I have to get on their asses to get them to finish it. I want to see people who are actually going to do something and who are going to increase the engagement between mods and users and who actually care about the community. I just don't want to see people who are very popular because they have a lot of friends.
I guess I understand what you're getting at. It just like right now that response really frustrates me because I won't be chosen for the same reason I wasn't
Why
chosen.
wouldn't you be chosen?
It was for the same reason I wasn't chosen, or the majority reason I wasn't chosen as a moderator. Like you said, all history is taken into account.
So
that's why I'm so heated on that issue.
ARC is not as sensitive as moderator applications, so it's not going to be that big of a deal if you're passed. If you're the one with the Reddit infraction, that's not going to be as significant as an event.
So if I could get a word in here,
for it.
for ARC, we want to. The reason that we don't have it as like everyone votes, including the community, is because we want to choose. Kara said this before. We want to choose people who are getting involved, upstanding people who notice the differences or the problems on the server, and that those are almost always, not almost always, are often going to be different people from the ones who are always popular and the ones who are always getting noticed and stuff like that. So we want to choose people who are
I guess
and the
I understand what you're saying.
part of that is
I just
part
want to
of
kind of speed it up a little bit.
part of the reason that we want to do that is because you guys don't see a lot of it because a lot of it is behind the scenes, but
which is really frustrating. I think
we also I'm continuing here.
Right. Sure.
We also don't enjoy when the community is against us as much as you guys don't enjoy it, because it puts a lot of pressure on us, and we want to see you guys happy with the rules and the changes that are being put in place. Because it puts a lot of pressure on us. It makes us look bad when we don't listen. It just overall is times of disagreement between moderation and community are just as hard on the moderators as they are on the community members. Maybe even harder on them because
Probably
they're so
harder. I understand that.
I would like to also go on, Charlie.
So, I guess in the end, is that, like 08F said, I just
Your mic cut out.
okay. Sorry, I'm using a laptop mic, so I'm sorry if that happens. That one. So, 08F said, I feel like it'll become an echo chamber, and I don't want it to be that. Many of the popular users are more involved in the community, and they also have understanding of what they want because they're very active. Myself, an example. 08F as an example. I can go other countless others. JTB, Wizgoa, Theo, he's very prominent in all this. Any of the members of the leaders of the majority towns do that. So that's why I think popular users are good, is because they understand a lot. But I guess I don't want to touch any more on that because I want to preserve both your time and mine.
The application will go through your ideas. It will go through your ideas, what you want to implement, what you want to see changed. If you have disagreements with the moderators, what things that you don't like about the moderating team, it will go through that. Just write detailed responses, write detailed response for ideas and stuff.
I'll do that. I spent 10 hours on my moderator application.
And it will be considered. I think the people who are popular, who have those ideas, I don't see why not they, couldn't be a possibility for art. If they're able to write out a very good app, then they're obviously a very good candidate for art. But I don't want to just blanket insert people into art.
I think we should stop discussing ARC right now, as this is supposed
I
to be
agree.
about the rules.
Yeah. We're
And
running in
also,
circles here.
also, let's wait until everyone has seen the application and stuff before we discuss it more.
Yeah.
How does that sound? All right.
Yeah,
Good
that
on
sounds good to
everyone.
me. We're running in circles here. I agree. So let's move on.
All right,
so,
last up is Light.
So
there you go. You're unmuted.
Hello.
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 Well, sorry for my accent is really bad, but my concern is about what enters a personal attack. Like, I know most people in the server want to get peaceful a peaceful like interaction, but sometimes there are things that annoy some people, but for others that looks like a joke. So uh, so so oh fuck, give me a sec. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
It's
Take
okay.
your time.
Okay, I'm ready. So, for example, if someone would make a joke about something that I did in the server, like a house or something, and that thing that he said really annoyed me for some reason, and I don't want to hear it, but it's like going over and over. But like for the person who is being attacked, like that would be obviously a personal attack, but for someone like the one who is doing the joke, that would not be like a personal attack. Like, who would be the one to decide what is a personal attack and what is not? Like, I know there are methods to ignore people in the server if you are getting annoyed, but like some moderators have different uh, thoughts about what is a personal attack. So I think that the personal attack section is no, is not really well defined. Like, so yeah, I don't know if yeah. Mhm. So
So you just want us to maybe look at the wording for personal attacks and just make it a little bit clearer?
hmm?
Do you want us to clarify like personal attacks and
Yeah,
everything?
but like the thing with personal attacks is who gets to choose what is a personal attack and what is not a personal attack. Like
Okay,
a
one
person,
sec.
yeah.
No, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Um, sorry. Um, uh, what was I gonna say?
So, sorry, you can go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So for personal attacks, it's a case by case basis, so it depends on the situation. Like if I insult like somebody's shirt or something one time, I mean, I'm not gonna get banned for that or anything. But if it continues to happen over and over again, um, it will be punished.
Yeah. Also, like, there's always in any community like these jokes that come around, like the Theo thing, um, and other like Shadow Fury and that. So, like, if people like make jokes about it, but like the person who is getting the jokes really doesn't bother, but it's going over and over, and that will be like a personal attack. Like,
Like I said, it really just depends on the scenario and on the context. So I can't tell you exactly like that's a yes or no. It really depends on like the situation that it's in. And like I said, it's handled on a case by case basis.
And if the person you're like attacking, like this is something that we used to decide whether or not it's an attack, but if they tell you to stop and you keep going, then we can use that to constitute whether or not it's a personal attack.
uh, so like if the yeah. Yeah, so the person who is getting the joke reports that he's getting annoyed by that humor. In that case, that will be a personal attack, right?
Um, like I said, it really just depends, and everybody has different views on it. So it's hard to just say one thing is this or one thing is that. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that will be like all the thing that I wanted to say. Like, if it's really a case by case thing, like I think it should be mentioned in the rules, specified, and I think that moderators shouldn't just like decide by themselves, and they should like ask the person uh, who is being
who is getting the jokes and the person who is joking about it. I think that that should be like specified. So yeah.
Yeah, that's something we take into account, but we don't have it explicitly stated on the rule. But yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and I think that would be it. Thanks for giving me the chance to speak.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Right, I think we're wrapping up now, right now. So thank you everyone for your participation in this. If you feel you still have something to say, please put it in Minecraft feedback, the channel, and we will get to it. We've been taking notes on all of your points and everything you've said throughout tonight. And hopefully we've clarified some points. And from your feedback, we will be able to clarify what you guys have said, what you guys want. We'll be taking another look at the rules. So thank you all very much. And yeah, thanks for participating.
Okay, yeah, I just want to reiterate, thank you everyone. Please make sure to continue your feedback. It's still appreciated, even though the town hall is obviously over and the rules are like, this is the update and we have to go from here. We will always be taking feedback, as with Teen Serve and how they do things. I hope you guys had a nice time, and I hope this could clear some things up. I look forward to seeing you all soon. And here's a nice click for the people that want the ASMR in the Minecraft chat.
Right. Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming. Appreciated.
Night, everybody.